lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is live. We in the building. We in the new den of Legacy Internet Radio. We about to have an outstanding show. We're excited. Y'all can see us. We got our special guest I'm going to introduce on the other side, even though you can see her. I'm excited. John's excited. Steph's excited. And the career cheerleader is excited. Y'all are watching the flagship show, Legacy in that radio. We call this thing here Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J. It's live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get.
Button your lip. Open your ears. Strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J is live. We in the building. Be down with us tonight. 804-402-2893. Be down with the flagship show. Heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you, everybody that's rocking with us. We appreciate those folks that are checking us out right now on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, because y'all rock with us every single week. we will continue to roll with y'all. Thank you for the folks that are checking us out on our replays. You're on our archive. You're on our Facebook Live. You might be watching a day, a week, a month, a year from now. We are still thanking you for seeing this video come upon your feed and liking it. If you are watching us now, we appreciate you liking and sharing and helping us get the message out to the greater audiences. Because of you guys that we continue week after week after week, year after year after year, doing this show and rocking in this way. Later on this fall, I will, and by proxy, the crew will be celebrating 10 years in live radio, live podcasting coming up in the fall. So definitely excited about a milestone like that. So without any further ado, we'll go around the room and introduce the usual suspects. The brother sits across from me every single week right here on the show. But we hang out. It's my man John. What it do, homie?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I am doing quite well today, sir. How goes you?
I'm well.
Okay.
And we have a wonderful open house.
Yes, we do.
Today, and full house, I meant to say, actually.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And I'm good.
Yeah, I'm glad. How you checking on our sister? I see
Yeah,
you looking over
I
there.
was waiting to see if she's gonna look up.
Yeah, she with us.
There.
As she's our co-host, man. She sits right to my right where I have her every single week, and I'm happy because when I look over there, she's there. The show is better. So I appreciate you, Steph B. How you doing?
Always forward.
Yeah.
Always forward.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you. And of course, sitting in between you and John. I don't know, man. I'm so excited about this one. I'm not sure if I can contain myself. She is our sister. She is Legacy Internet Radio alumna. She's the career cheerleader. She's our sister, Cara Pressley. What's up?
Yeah, what's going on? How y'all feeling?
Outstanding.
Listen, successful.
She says successful.
Successful.
That's how we
I'm
should
sitting next to
feel.
you.
Right.
It's like falling
it's
off
the
you
success-
onto me.
successful energy. It must be the shirt.
You know,
Okay,
get one.
Dropping soon. Oh, you got the new sunshine dropping
Yeah.
soon. But yes, thank you, Marcus.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to come here and chill with y'all.
Well, I'm glad. And we're going to talk to you about a few things. You have been making some moves, since the last time we've had you. So we'll take a walk down memory lane and bring the viewers and listeners up to the present here momentarily. But before we do that, we always like to have just a real quick topic before we get into our topics. And the quick topic I want to get into real quick, I don't know about y'all, but I happened to look at the calendar last Thursday and it said July 1st, last Thursday. And does anyone in the room know the significance of July 1st here in the great state of the Commonwealth of Virginia?
It's 420 in summer.
Legal weed, man. Yeah.
We lit.
Yeah. That's why we gave Steph the green light.
Hey.
But
match my nails.
I'll be glad to take it from her. just
Might fight me over
just,
it.
just pass it. Just pass it. Just pass it. Yeah, talk pass. But for those folks who who have always been advocates, connoisseurs, or whatever the appropriate terminology would be, I'm not really sure how different things are. But here's what I will say. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm absolutely someone that is pro cannabis. I have been for most of my adult life. Whether I use it or not, it's between me and my fingertips and the people in the room with me. But if you know me, you know what it is. Well, but in all seriousness, there are some things that we should be aware of because we do have folks who are watching and listening who are going to be folks that this new law may impact. Yeah. And so I guess the highlights is don't be having no more than an ounce. Mm-hmm. You can have an ounce.
Don't do it.
Don't have no more than an ounce because you get to be good old fashioned criminal again if you do.
Absolutely.
Don't roll up in the car.
Don't do it
because that counts as an open container.
Yeah. Yes.
You can have 2 adult and 2 immature plants as long as they're labeled on your property out of sight.
This brother is homework ready.
Well,
homework. I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, you can have those 2, and all you got to do is keep them in the house, get your lights, get you a fish tank, and make it work.
Yeah. As long as it's not someplace visible to the public.
Right.
Yeah.
is where you can have it. And so those, those are the keys. Now, if you're somebody who has always moved in a discreet manner, then this probably doesn't really affect you.
Right.
But I thought that it would be important. Obviously a lot of this is in jest, but real talk, like for those folks who think now, oh my God, weed is legal, I can walk through Bird Park lighting
Yeah,
up.
you cannot smoke in public. You can only
can't-
smoke in
You
private.
can't do that.
Now, New York, you can smoke in public.
You also cannot sell.
Yes.
That, which is the interesting thing, or right. So really, it only makes possession at a certain level.
So just
the
if
thing
you
that
inconveniently drop your package,
Or forget you have it on you.
right?
Well,
just drop it
you
on the
can- you-
ground.
You actually can gift it. I can
then
grow.
Walk a few
can't
steps and then
sell or
pick up a
buy.
$20 bill.
I can't sell it to you. I can grow, and the proceeds from that growth, I can say, here, Steph, here, Cara, here, John, this is for you. But the minute that you return that this is for you with anything other than thank you, then it becomes a crime.
Legal tender.
Exactly.
as
You
they
can't
say.
you can't pay me for that and whatnot.
So I have these cards right here, and I will sell these cards for $20 each. So if you want 2 cards, I'll send them to you for $40. And then, if I happen to gift you,
that's how they're getting around.
I
it.
mean, and ultimately, I think there's another
to do that
element
with
that could be
mixtape CDs.
that is definitely
We sell
old school.
stickers. The stickers are $20.
I think one of
You
the
get a
things
free
that
CD.
people need to be conscious of too is that here in the state of Virginia, what's not changing is what hasn't changed is the impact of the people who are currently incarcerated or facing time.
Something
for
federal
it.
happened with that,
So
though, right?
nothing that makes a big change here.
Okay.
And that's the thing
Other states are
that I
letting
see a
people go,
lot
though?
of legal advocates really working for here, like, organizations like Marijuana Justice, which is Chelsea Higgs Wise, and some of the others. They're really focusing on the fact that marijuana laws will still impact at a greater level Black and brown people. So there's still people that are sitting in jail right now for less than an ounce. That
Do we know where? Because I know there are places where they are actually letting people out. Do we know where that is?
I mean, it happens out in the Pacific Northwest. Certainly in California, it happened in mass droves.
What about New York?
They haven't fully done it yet there. New Jersey has already been looking at that and has done a low level of release of people. But I think that's where the major concern should be, is the fact that people are, this is my thing. Once it became legal in any state, forget federal, in any state, that state should immediately have to release people who are sitting in jail for simple marijuana crimes. And once people start making money off of it, and the people who are making money off of it legally don't look like the people who are incarcerated for it, I have a problem with it.
That's hip hop.
Well,
A few ways.
True.
I feel like the
True.
main conversation I've had with my friends is keep it private. Like, just like Marcus said.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's something you do at home or what you used to do, this didn't even change.
And remember that
Yeah.
if you work in corporate America, they still get to make the rules.
Absolutely.
So you can work somewhere here in the state of Virginia, and if they decide to do a drug test and you pop dirty,
I think
They
the
don't
easiest
have
Somebody
give
said
you a
you can't do
pass.
that no more. They
No.
can't. They can't
It's-
ask you about it, and they can't test for marijuana.
no,
That's not
they
true.
can't.
That's not true.
Where's
Yeah.
that? Someplace I heard that.
That's not true.
And that needs
So
to
what
be
is it?
very
I'll give you-
clear.
I'll give you an example.
It is still federally
It's-
illegal,
Have to
which
remember that part.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
and that's the key. I think that's the part that most people don't remember. There are athletes that play in marijuana legal states that still get in trouble.
yes.
For
We'll be
for-
talking about that later.
We will, we'll
Yeah.
we'll obviously be
Love
talking.
it.
There's
Yeah.
a story that has made national news that we won't get into now. But we
Yeah,
absolutely
dirty
will
pool right
be,
there.
we will be talking about that later. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so let us get to our featured guest of the night,
Yes.
and why we're all gathered here. Hi, Cara.
Not we're all
How are
gathered.
you?
She's just so friendly.
Yeah, she's so
for someone who's
successful.
genuinely friendly.
Yes.
That's her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we,
you know.
I believe in giving folks their flowers while they're around to smell them, and enjoy them. And so how much I am fond of you, and the opportunities that we've had to work with one another has been fulfilling for me. So I'm thanking you before we even get into it. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate
Thank you for being here. So let's just talk about the career cheerleader. There's some of these things I'm aware of, we've talked about, but I want to paint a picture of where you started in your journey to where we are now. There are certain things and terminologies that you use, and I want to know about them.
Yes.
So you refer to yourself as the career cheerleader. Let's start there. What is that all about?
So the career cheerleader, I came up with the term. It had to be about 5 or 6 years ago. I was about 15 in the company, and I was like, "Who is going to help me work here for another 20 plus years?" I don't know. I need a cheerleader. I need someone to help me because I didn't need a job. I didn't really want to get a new one. I just needed some inspiration to keep doing this for another 20 plus years. And I could not find a cheerleader, so I became one because I knew there were other people who enjoyed working. They enjoyed what they did, but how do they come out their shell at work? How do they show who they are, have their whole light shine, So yeah, I became the career cheerleader and started motivating others.
All right. Well, we're getting a call. Someone wants to talk with you already. So let us see about getting the caller in. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in that radio. Caller, you on the live line talking to the team and our special guest, our sister, the career cheerleader, Cara Pressley. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hello?
Caller, you there?
What's up, man? Good evening, man. Good evening to you guys.
Good evening.
Good evening, caller.
Hey.
I know that voice.
Internet radio, longest lasting internet radio show in the land, baby.
What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Hey, man, I just called to give a shout out to y'all, man. The career cheerleader. That's my sister, man. I'm proud of you, man. I'm so proud. I love you, man.
Love you too, man.
We know who you are. Why don't you tell
Tell
the audience who you are, brother?
You already know, man. I love y'all to death, man. Y'all keep doing great things out here in the city. To the career cheerleader, Marcus J and his family. Man, I forever got y'all back, man. I'm so proud to be a part of the city. Y'all being a part of the city, man. I love it, man. Keep shining. We got this, man. We got to keep pushing. We got this, man.
My man, Antonio, Tim, man, Collins, what's up, brother? I appreciate you, man. Thank you for always supporting. Man. You always got a kind word, brother. We need you and we love you, brother.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Y'all be easy, man. Love.
You got it, man. You got it. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. We got a hit also on social media. It was our sister Michelle Wilson is checking us out, and she said, "Hey, Cara."
Hey.
Yeah. So go ahead and pick up your point. You were talking about how you were looking for a cheerleader, so you became one. Pick up there.
Yeah, I just needed someone to cheer me on, and there was not anyone. Okay, and so I started to motivate myself and inspire other people, and in a season of being more so honest with myself, I kind of coined the phrase "successful." I was always doing successful things. I thought it was successful. No one else might call it successful, but I went through depression. I went through suicidal thoughts, and I just had to be honest with myself and say, whatever level I try to do things today, tomorrow, it will be successful. So when people ask me how I'm doing, instead of just saying okay, which often was a lie, I would say I'm successful. And you don't know if I laid in the bed all day, or you don't know if I did 10 speaking engagements today, but it was successful, whatever I did, because I'm doing the work. So
I can dig that. I can dig that. One of the things that kind of goes with being successful is the support that you bring to other people to help them become so successful. I look up in places sometimes, and I'm not always out as much as I would like to be, or as much as I used to be when I had the station up and running differently. But when I would go places, I would almost always see you there. So
one day we saw each other like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Marcus again. What's going on?
Yeah. And that speaks to the support. So talk to us a little bit about why it's so important to you to support other people, because that's your lane. The career cheerleader is kind of lends to that brand.
Yeah, I feel like and I talked to Steph about this earlier. I want to help people, and I feel like I want to help because I know what it's like to not have any help. Just from a parenting perspective, I've been a single mom or parenting alone for quite a long time. But we here. I got a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Hey TJ, if you
Made
ever
it.
watch it,
Hey,
right?
TJ.
But I just know what it's like not to have help. I know what it's like not to have somebody support an idea. I know what it's like to be unsure. I know what it's like to just want to make sure, just a little cosign, not so much confirmation or, I need someone to stamp what I'm doing, but you just want to know that what you're doing is what someone needs. And everybody needs support. Everyone wants someone to share a flyer, a fundraiser, a GoFundMe, or just what they're doing. So I definitely built a community for that. And it's successful and paying off. And I hope it's a place where people feel safe and secure to share and feel supported.
Yeah, I think they do. We're getting some love from our sister Nicole Fields is checking us out. She says, "Hey y'all," and she says she pushes me and motivates me without speaking directly to me. She is the epitome of support.
Now look at that. Thank you, Nicole, and shout out to Nicole Fields. Listen, she has a workshop for aspiring business owners coming soon. I'll be speaking there July 18th.
Yeah,
she's supporting as well. She supports me as well. But I appreciate hearing that. Because people don't hear it often, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to show that same love like she did to me, to other people. They just need to know that they are being successful. They are doing the work. It is paying off.
I like the idea that you don't exclusively go after people who are entrepreneurs or business owners, because I hear it all the time. People always screaming, start a business, do it. Listen, some people got to work.
Yeah.
Listen,
we need people to have jobs.
And people who are business owners need people to work
for you.
So
listen, there's nothing wrong with working a job if you feel all right in that space. If they take care of you with a decent package and you get a fair wage, ain't nothing wrong with having a job. People got to stop making it seem like you a loser because you got a job. I mean, Dame Dash should talk that stuff, but he don't even mean it in that aspect.
No. Right.
What he means is you should have an idea of something that you want to do for yourself,
right,
that you can do in addition to your job, and then when you retire, maybe something that you could take on full time.
Right.
But
perfect.
People got to have a job. You got to work. You got to get educated, and because we all just can't do it like that.
Everybody's not a boss, and that culture. Get the bag. I'm a boss. Everybody's not a boss, CEO. Everybody can't manage money. You got to find your space, find your lane. And I was a multipreneur for a while, meaning that, I worked the job and I tried these different side hustles. Sometimes it gets to the point where everything you're good at doesn't need to make you money. Right. Everything you're good at isn't a business.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to find your best self in the workplace. And I actually enjoyed my job. I worked there for 20 years before I retired 2 weeks ago. Okay. And that retirement was a decision to step out because I felt like it wasn't serving me any longer. I wasn't being fed. I didn't enjoy that employment any longer. And as an advocate of telling people to create the life that they truly want,
this right here, what we're doing, if somebody offered me to pay me to do this, I would go to work.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because I love doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. Another thing I have an issue with is the term boss. I don't like bosses. I don't think people should be boss. I think people should be leaders. Because see, a boss tells people what to do. A leader shows people what to do and how to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you need bosses if you have a large staff, right? So a leader will select the boss, and that boss will tell other people what to do, what the leader wants to do. But optimally, true people who run their own thing and got their own thing going, they need to be leaders. They need to not worry about forcing their will onto other people. Just make yourself the example, right? And have your success be contagious, right? Because I always say the two most contagious things in this world is having money and being broke. And if you're around people in either way, you'll wind up that way, one way or another.
I have a question, and thank you, John. That's an excellent point. I like that. In regard to what you do and how you motivate people and things like that, what is a tip you would give someone? So if they are that person that John, and I agree with John wholeheartedly, as an entrepreneur, it's not for everybody. Running a business, not for everybody, can be very stressful. There's a lot of satisfaction to be found in corporate America if you find your lane.
Absolutely.
What is a primary career tip you give for someone that's trying to identify a way to be happy in their professional life as a employee?
Okay, so a primary career tip that I give individuals who want to be successful in their employment, whether it's self-employed or with the employer, the first step, and this is actually in a course that's coming out, your 7 steps to create the life you want, is to identify your next step. And that's layered. Okay, so there are 7 steps, but it's layered. Identifying your next step is to first identify where you want to go. So you do need to have a goal, but you need to figure out your next step. And part of identifying that step is to self-assess who you are.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
You have to really ask yourself, what do I want people to say about me? And what am I doing to have them say those things about me? So when I was 20 in the government and young and just, I knew it all. I mean, I was a terrible employee. I was successful. I was executing, but my tone, my delivery was off. And I had to step back, thanks to some very good mentors, and send out a letter to the top 5 people who I looked up to in my job. And I asked them, how do I come across to you as an employee? Asking them to assess me. And because
some people aren't ready for that truth.
They are
Good
not.
for you
but I was, because
yeah.
I wanted a level of success, and I had to go ahead and face it because I knew that I was a jerk. But I was hoping that maybe they saw the great part of me a little bit more than the jerk, and they did not. And they told me that I was a jerk, and I had to.
They did not.
They did not. I had to face that.
Yeah.
I had to face that and fix it and and help them unlearn who I was. And it was difficult because when I started to be nice, and I don't mean I was acting nice, when I started to move with heart intentions and intentionally move in the workplace, they didn't believe who I was.
Right.
Now you're being fake. Oh yeah, I showed them something different. She's being fake now. No, I actually am a kind person, and I realized I wasn't being kind to you. Yeah. And I hope that you can receive that. It took them a while until leadership saw it before my coworkers saw it. And then when I became my coworkers' manager,
they were leaders.
Right.
Well, something I think is interesting in that, in what you said, and that I think when I'm sitting with the entrepreneurs that I work with is very difficult. It is hard for people to hear the truth about themselves, but even more importantly, it's very difficult for people to self-assess. I'll meet with people all the time, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's a great skill, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're meant to be an entrepreneur, or you need to be managed by someone else.
Absolutely.
And that may be the world you need to be in. And I think immediately, if we're experiencing some difficulty in a corporate or an employment space, we immediately think that means I should go be my own boss.
No.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that. And I think there's a huge vein of people within our communities, if we want to see workspaces change their behaviors, how they look, things like that. I think there's a huge space for teaching people how to be successful in a gainful, in a space of gainful employment, rather than thinking that because you're not successful, it must only be that space, not you. Get out, go and start your own business.
That's
right.
key.
So now, where were you working? What state were you in when you were working? Virginia?
Virginia, but I actually commuted to DC, so I was a government employee.
Because it was really I don't know how the last 10, 12 years have been. But in my lifetime of working in New York City, only the jerks won. And there were no nice people that ever got anywhere further than where they were anywhere in New York City in any kind of corporate environment.
It's here too.
That is
You
key.
had to be you had to be jerk number one to get the promotion, to get the raise, to get the next job, to move to the next place. And if you ever bothered to reach down or reach back and try to get somebody, you would get shot in the back of your head, figuratively speaking, and ran over. And that was the thing. I found that now in the work, I don't know how it is in the workplace, but I know in society, it's very soft.
But this is
like
the
people
thing.
don't say anything even remotely strong to another person because I saw a guy online expressing how he made a living off of going to jobs, getting fired, right? He know he was going to get fired, but then he was going to sue.
He sued them
because
every single job.
Every time someplace on the job, somebody said something a little bit out of line, somebody did something a little bit wrong, and he took that back and he admitted it and continued to do it, and people couldn't do anything about it because now the way society is, you can't even have a real opinion.
I disagree. I mean, you have to find what works for you. And I mean, for him, if he's cool with just
being
finding the loophole that doesn't align with my spirit. Okay,
no, I'm not talking about I'm not trying to big up his tactics.
No, I understand.
I'm trying to express the way society has changed, at least the vision of mine, what I see over the last 10 to 20 years, that you can't even, you can't call a stupid person stupid. And when a person loses, you can't call them a loser. I don't like it.
Well, when they call the career cheerleader, they don't want to hear.
It ain't gonna go that way.
No, but listen, some losers need to know that they losers, and they need to stay in their place.
I appreciate
you can't be in the left. Listen,
it's so direct.
You cannot be in the left lane doing the speed limit. That's not where That's not the left lane. People is for passing. If you're not passing, get on over to the right lane.
There's something to be said for being direct and being blunt when it comes to that, because I was a kid who played sports, who always felt it weird that every kid got a trophy, including me. If our team didn't win, what are we getting a trophy for? So I'm not quite as direct as John is, but I don't disagree with what he's saying. Go ahead, Cara.
No, I definitely understand that. I think there's something to be said about just some real transparency with people. And I mean, tone, body language is a way you can say pretty much anything. And it's really up to that person to be able to receive it, and be ready to really hear that honest truth of whatever the topic is or the subject matter or whatever the next step is, their self-assessment. You got to want to hear what someone else is saying, just that differential thought. Diversity of thought is important. And we need that to grow. I mean, at the end of the day, let's just go back to what you were saying about in society. Like, everything I'm doing is a different intentional movement. You know what I mean? I'm a spiritual person. I believe in signs, and I believe that if I'm moving towards the goal I want to be, and I'm moving with the right heart intentions, what's for me is just going to be for me.
True.
I mean, that definitely is true with the Red Table Talk. That definitely is true with some of the people that I've coached and helped. What was for them was ultimately still for them. They found when they acted like or did certain things trying to be like the jerk you were talking about, like, I got to put my foot on these people's necks. You know what I mean? You don't have to do that to get ahead.
And really especially if that's not who you are.
Right.
You mentioned the Red Table Talk, and I don't want to.
We can definitely talk Red Table Talk. I know Marcus gonna get into it.
I don't want to miss the opportunity. That was a great opening. First of all, that was the first time that I had the opportunity to engage with you. I thought it was a great thing that
brunch,
you did.
Right?
Yeah, it was the brunch. And tell us how not only you got involved and made it RVA specific, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And where it's landed, your most recent adventures with the Red Table Talk.
Yeah, Red Table Talk has been such a blessing indirectly, I'll say, because I initially was hesitant to start it. And shout out to my girl Rick Deems. I was in my yard background and just in the backyard, like, man, I really like this Red Table Talk show, man. I think I could start a group that could really support the show, because I was trying to support from their group, but you find out it's automated and it's business and they're not really engaging. I'm like, I could really do something to really help Richmond, put people on. Like, I know it's other women in my city who feel the same way. And I called Chantel, shout out to Dr. Chambliss, called her because you need 2 people to start a Facebook group. And I said, girl, can you be in this group? And she was like, sure, I like it. And I started it, and we had about 300 of my closest friends. Shout out to y'all. It's all your friends first.
Hey,
all your friends join your group first. But
that's why who you are and what your character is matters.
I appreciate that. But they also didn't join it just because it was me. Or, like, they really enjoyed the content.
Yeah,
and
I joined because I enjoyed the content.
Yeah, thank you. There are creative ways to grow your group, and we grew to 10,000. And by the time we had 35,000 people, 6 months later, Jada reached out to us, and from there, it's been 3 years, but from there we started working.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Okay.
No, we just listen.
Jada
Let
Pinkett
this
Smith.
let this
Jada.
sister have first name.
Jada
Yeah.
Pinkett
No,
Smith.
no,
Jada.
no. Listen,
But you just
she
clarify.
does, but the audience,
Yeah.
Jada
well,
Pinkett
Nah.
Smith.
Now-
Will's
Hey, look,
wife.
hold on. We talking about red table
What?
talk.
Will's
They
wife.
know.
They know. They know.
They
There ain't
know.
no Will's wife in
Listen.
this.
Let me pause us for a second
Sure.
and recalibrate because I got some comments in
Okay,
social media. I
y'all.
want to get them in. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. We got our sister, the career cheerleader, Cara Pressley, with us. Nicole said hashtag convo with Nikki.
Yes.
CONVO WHWITHNIKKI convo hashtag convo with Nikki. So if you rock with us, you need to be rocking with her. Michelle says she is patient, informative, and insightful, referring
Thank you.
to you. Nicole says we need the 9 to 5. We need the 9 to 5 people.
Yes.
I was
she
the 9 to
said-
5 people.
She said, "Who gonna be at the store when we go? Who's going to serve us at the restaurant if everyone is an entrepreneur?"
Yes.
I can't
I
live
keep
without
talking
an
about that.
assistant
then-
or somebody that
Yeah.
can help me
And
stay
then
on
she
track
says-
of things.
and
Yeah.
then-
I need my
and then
delivery
she-
people.
and
Come
then
on,
she-
DoorDash. We love y'all.
Because who gonna ride their bike in the rain and bring me my
Yeah.
turkey, egg,
And then she
cheese
says, "Yay to retirement."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Welcome.
last
Yes,
week's
thank
special
you.
guest and part of the show, our sister and yours, the legal
Hey,
Tamika Robinson,
Uh,
is checking us out. She says yes, and she is referring
John.
directly to what you said, John. She says yes, John. So she was agreeing with what you were saying. So
Thank you, sis.
Ain't no
Thank you.
hashtag Marcus J Live from New Den Legacy and that radio 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. All right, so you
Call in.
left off just now. Yes, call in. Left off a minute ago, Cara. You were talking about Jada. First name
Jada.
basis,
Yes.
Jada.
Miss Pinkett Smith.
And one more shout out to give. Yao, my brother BG, Legacy and that radio alumni
Yay.
from the pregame is checking us out with the fist in the air. So this
on,
goes to
come
you
on.
too, Yao. Peace to you, brother. All right.
Yeah. So what were we talking? Okay. So Jada found us.
yeah.
And she was like, "What's going on, RVA?" They made a little song up and sent us a little video. And what people didn't know is behind the scenes, we were talking with her once a month and helping them with campaigns and the whole RTT healing. Like that was because of us, the Red Table Talk OGs. Shout out to my OGs. Yeah, and we just helped them on campaigns for like the last 3 years. Talked on the phone and here recently. You want me to go ahead into the?
Yes.
Well,
Y'all
Come
wanna
on,
hear
it's the
about it?
business.
before you get to that time that we almost had an opportunity to be on the show.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Look, they called us and was like, "Hey, we want to talk to you guys about Chelsea Handler." It was a good topic too because
Yep.
she was like addressing white and black people
Yep,
about
it
her
was
privilege.
right when she had the was it Netflix?
Yes.
Netflix
Video
special
that
about
came out.
privilege.
Right.
But yeah, we were supposed to connect and Hollywood business stuff and didn't quite happen. But we still had our own little special.
Yep.
But one thing about me, I'm gonna still make a show.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
We had a good day that day.
Yeah, we did. We had fun.
yeah.
And turned into a whole show, the Three Wise Queens. That's actually where Three Wise Queens was born.
Yep.
But yeah, everything is just happened the way it was supposed to.
Right.
We were actually supposed to go meet Jada last year, the OGs and COVID happened
Right.
and it didn't happen. And again, I want to thank Red Table Talk because when the government shutdown happened, like that group was there. I was able to interview business owners and interview other people in Richmond doing dope things and really find my voice as the career cheerleader, interviewer, red carpet correspondent. Shout out to E2E. I'm a youth football correspondent. I just was able to really find my voice. And how, it gave me a little bit more strength as well to kind of step out on this retirement. When you really do take the healing and find that journey and figure out where you want to be in life. So
The funny thing is, I've been retired now a little over 3 years, going on 4. And when you realize after the first few days of total relaxation that your job is actually beginning.
yes,
In
just the
retirement
beginning.
is really beginning because now you have to find a way to occupy your day. Right. So now your mind, where you gave all this attention to other people and other things, all of that time is available for you to really think about it. And then like I thought I knew what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And then I came to Richmond initially I was going to retire in Concord, North Carolina, but I wound up retiring in Richmond. And what I thought I was going to do, I couldn't do because the Richmond market for that was closed to me because Richmond had their way of doing it, and it was nothing like New York. I mean, it was almost the opposite.
I believe it.
So I had to rethink. I had to sit back, breathe, rethink about what I wanted to do, and then I found something that I could do that was more internet friendly, but also it was missing here in Red. Like I have a small financial consulting company, just a few clients, but it was missing here. People were ready to tell you, I'm gonna fix your credit. People were ready to tell you, all these other things, multi-level marketing and all this other kind of stuff, but no one was really sitting down letting people know why things weren't working. And the biggest thing I preach is budget, and people don't like to hear budget. But if you can't budget, then you're not gonna win. And before you do anything, the first thing you got to do is figure out what the budget is. Now we got to figure out where we're gonna get that money from, because you can't use your daily life money to fund your dreams. It's not gonna work. You got to add on. You can't use that because you don't got enough right there to begin with. So that's why you're trying to do something else. So once you get people into that and let people realize how far outside of their pay grade they're living, and once they can figure that out and then decide whether or not they're ready to make the sacrifices to live within their means, then get successful, it's a rough talk, but nobody was having that talk with people here in Richmond. And I started having that talk with people, and a lot of people came in and started, and they did my initial consultation and they paid a little bit of money. But when I told them what they had to do and how they had to do it, they kind of just faded out. But I have a couple of people. I have a couple of people that stuck to the plan, and within a year, even including the slowdown for COVID, these people were able to buy homes. They were able to, make their budget work in their lifestyle, get life insurance, do all the stuff that I told them to do, and they are just really, really happy right now with what's going on.
You also found your niche though, like your area where you could get in that lane and really change.
And I tell people all the time, it's not from my education background, it's not in finance, but what I know, I learned the hard way because I made every possible mistake possible with my money. Right. So on paper, I made, in a lifetime of working, of 32 years of working, and I made $3.5 million on paper, right? And it was all gone by the time I retired. Forget about the money I made off of paper, because I had companies and different things and so on and so forth, and I made money like that, but that was gone too. So I blew all of that money, and I was able to be like, listen, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that,
because you've been there.
Because I did it all wrong.
Jump up in here, Steph. You want to say?
Actually, I had a question because John is mentioning that thing that happens when I remember when I left being a corporate employee a lot of years ago and launched my business and became a contract vendor to those same corporations. What has been the most profound feeling or thought that you have had within this initial 3 weeks? What has been that light bulb moment for you that's really either galvanizing you or changing your perspective on things?
I think it's very interesting that I was telling people to create the life they wanted for a long time. And I mean, encouraging them. I mean, they were doing it and living their best life, and I was just at work. I mean, and don't get me wrong. Again, like we said, there's nothing wrong with having the job. But to remember, I told y'all when I walked in, I was colonized. Like I literally realized I have the whole 24 hours mentally, right? I have the whole 24 hours now. This is my day. This is my day. Y'all know what I did today? I had a massage this morning at 11. After I had my coffee and talked to the Lord from 8 to 9 a.m. We slept in today. Had a massage. Right. Me and the Lord. We slept on in. Had a massage. I had a brainstorming meeting at noon. 12:30 technically. But after that, I ate lunch outside. Then I sat in the car and edited 4 videos, met you, had a whole nother business meeting, and now we're here.
And some people would ask me all the time, You retired. What's the best part of being retired? And I tell them all the time, the best part for me anyway, the best part of being retired is being able to get up in the morning and decide that day what I'm gonna do. I don't make no plans.
No, it's super alignment
before I get up.
Right.
When I get I think I might go here.
Creating the life I want. You literally
that's like our motto here. Create the life you want to live.
And I've been saying it. It was also a vision before it was reality. You know what I mean? And I'm actually a self-care advocate. So when I was telling people initially to create the life they want, it was in those micro spaces. Say
I
no
know,
if you need to.
I know what you mean, but that's a new phrase that people are using, self-care.
Yeah.
Talk more about what that looks like for you, because it looks different for different people.
Self-care for me looks like really caring enough to listen to myself before I answer anybody else.
Yeah.
The answer, if it's no, in the core of my spirit, I don't care if it's I know I love my son. I don't care if it's taking you to the store to get some chips. If I really don't want to go to the store,
ain't that hard?
It's gonna be a no.
Ain't that hard?
No, not anymore.
It shouldn't be.
But with getting there,
yes, because again, like I told everybody how they had to unlearn who I used to be.
Yeah.
People need to now learn who I am and understanding and respecting the no when it comes out.
I love that so much. I spent so much of my life being the guy.
Trying to, what do we call it? Trying to be nice.
No, everybody called. Everybody I know called me.
Yeah.
In life, I need this. I need that. Can you get me this? Can you get me that? Do you know this? Do you know that? And right up until about 5 months before I fully retired is when I was able to be like, no, I can't.
It's a process. It's a process that you go through. I understand what that looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm in the space now, and you might be able to appreciate it. If you can text it, don't call me.
That's it.
And I got people in my life right now that feel away with me seriously right now because of it. And it's because of self-care. So continue when you talk about self-care. What is an example? And it may not be your example, but just give folks examples of the things that they may be actually doing.
Of self-care. Okay. I hate the way coffee brews in the pot, and then you have to clean the coffee pot. I only drink instant coffee now. Self-care.
Self-care.
I've cut out 6 steps.
Keurig?
No, Keurig is a waste of money and time. I feel like it's a waste of money for them little pods. I can get a little scoop of coffee in my hot water, but this is me. That's how I want I want my coffee in the morning quickly, efficiently, and minimal dishes. That's small self-care. No one else will clean that coffee pot.
Right.
I actually hate cleaning the coffee pot.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that.
It's a small thing. You know what I mean? But really just assessing what you need, what you don't need. I love what you said about basically living above your means. What do I really need? Because at the core of it, your spirit is all you truly own. I mean, let's just be really real about this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
What do you really need?
Do you find that it has come from life maturity? Because for me, learning and understanding about that level of self-care, kind of piggybacking on what John was saying, I'm kind of the point guard of my friend group as well. Quarterback, the goalie, whatever you want to call it. I understand that, and I receive that because it's a similar existence for me. So for you, when you are coaching folks, how to learn how to say no, maybe that's an example, or don't answer the phone if it can be text. Those are just quickie examples. I don't like to clean the coffee pot.
Small stuff. I mean, you know what self-care truly is? If I had to sum it up into one succinct definition, it's allowing people the freedom to change as they need to, just as frequently as the seasons. I mean, we allow the world to change 4 times a year. It's hot, it's cold, and you adjust accordingly. Now, you can keep on wearing that sweatshirt in the summer if you want to, but it's time to take the sweatshirt off. You have the freedom to adjust as you need to. Allow people that freedom. We see the memes all the time. People change, or people give me an energy, I'm gonna give it back to them. No, you don't have to return energy that you receive. No, you don't have to. You know what I mean? You have to do what fits your spirit.
I agree with that. I'm gonna talk about that.
We're getting a hit in social media from our brother Johnny. He is Virginia Union University alum. Good brother of mine. He's checking us out from Texas. Peace to you, brother. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of tonight's discussion. As we do this every single week at this time of the show, we have our very, very special listener that is listening to us, and she's saying good morning and happy Monday. And so, of course, when we respond to her, we do it in unison as we do every single week. So we say,
Good morning, Sue.
yeah.
I was like, where's this going?
Yeah, Ado has
I was
Steppin.
looking like, did I ever see that on the show?
Ado has Steppin, Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to rock with us? We'll roll with y'all. So, Cara, I want to talk a little bit more about Red Table Talk.
Yeah.
Pick up where we were going there about the conversation with our sister Jada and how you ended up in her presence recently. Let's talk about it.
Yes. Okay. So Red Table Talk was booming. They got a whole new season going on. Everything's a vibe. COVID things were lifting, vaccinations out, and the team reached out. I'm so happy that you asked me this so I could actually talk about it, because I am a secret keeper. So I've been holding on to this for like a month. You know what I mean?
excited. Do it.
Yes.
Well,
so,
before you go on, let me just tell you, when we saw you in the picture,
listen,
I said, well, I'll be damned. And I know I said it out loud.
listen, I appreciate
Did you say, well, I'll be
excited
damned?
for you.
Man,
I was so tickled for you.
It was surreal. Let me tell y'all.
Let's just get into
the
beginning.
story so
Yeah,
I can
let's
tell
get the
y'all the
story.
real.
I'm gonna put my mic
highlight
down.
moment. All right, so they reached out and they were like, "Look, we want to fly some OGs out. Like, we want to get you guys out here to California." And I'm like, "Oh wow!" Like, I'm humbled and like I really couldn't receive it. I want y'all to just know that. Like, I heard it. But I've had things canceled before. You know, I don't want to be a prisoner of my past, but you know, I wasn't gonna believe it until I saw the plane ticket. Okay. And I didn't believe it until I saw the plane ticket. And shout out to my friend Med, who I told him, I'm like, Jada said she want me to come out there. And he was like, she sent for you. Like, she sent for you. Like, do you understand?
She flew you out.
Like, she flew you out. Flew you out. And I told some people the story last week. Yeah, this not that I ain't ever had nothing. But I checked in for my little flight and I was like, I don't see where to pay for the bags. And the girl was like, ain't no flight called no bag cost in first class. And I was like, oh,
and it was first class.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know about that. So, they wanted us to come out. They actually canceled the first week it was supposed to happen. And, I was like, okay, God, here we go. Like, I'm trying to stay focused. But the blessing was they were like, we were nominated for 7 Emmys and Jada wants to have a cookout at the house.
Wow.
Not just fly out and meet us. She want to have a cookout at the house. Okay. So I was super excited.
Should be.
I got a +1. So shout out to my girl, Rick Deans, the first person who heard the idea. I was like, can you go? She said, yeah. We got all our tickets straight. We get there, car waiting on you at the airport, like all the stops. I mean, it was beautiful. We got to the hotel. We just needed to chill because the next day they were going to pick us up. Y'all can see the full video on our Red Table Talk RVA page. But they picked us up in a Sprinter. We get to the house. I mean, I just need y'all to know they got their own mountain. It's, you know what I mean? You can
tell us.
You can Google these stats. So I'm not going to talk about too much else, but I know it's over 150 acres.
Wow.
It was we went to the house that you see in the show. We were on her lake, which is the lake that Will got made for her.
I heard that story.
Yeah, like I built a lake for her.
Filled it in
her
for
lake.
Her. Yeah,
it was beautiful. And that morning,
can I manifest a man who's
manifest it?
Where you at?
Build the lake for us, bro.
Listen.
That morning, she posted a picture and was like, we're going to have massages by the lake. And I told my girlfriend, they're going to my seat at the table right there. It was on the screen. It was right by the lake. We get there. Jada's by the pool. She comes, gives us hugs.
She as tiny as she looks.
She is small. Like, she is
pint size.
Small. And she's the same Jada that you see. And it was such a moment. In my head, I was like, set it off, Jada. Like, you just
Stony. What's
Stony?
Stony?
She was wearing the Stony outfit. My girl pointed that out. Jeans.
Lena James.
Lena James.
I've been in love with this woman for 30 years.
Listen, she was
Lena
everything
James.
you thought. I told my girlfriend, I was like, her eyes really green, right? Like, it's just a moment you have. But not even that. Like, I went up to her and I was like, we've been talking for 3 years. Like, we had been talking for 3 years, girl. And she was like, I know. Like, and we had our own private conversations, and I was one of the first people to give her a hug once they like announced that they won, because I'm gonna tell y'all, if I'm in the room and I want to show you love, I'm going to do that. And I was there, and I did, and we had our moments. And I mean, it didn't really hit me until they played Summertime. I said, Lord, I'm by Will Smith's pool.
Here
Lord,
it is.
Lord have mercy.
Man.
And I acted. Let me tell you, I acted kind of. I was still me, but you was still a little. Once Summertime came on,
did you freak
it
out?
was hooping up, and you know what I mean? Like, oh, sitting on Lorenzo's. Like, I was. Y'all can see that in my reels.
I did
love
see in
it.
the video where you gave her the first hug, because that's in the video.
Yeah,
I saw that. I saw that.
because it was just a vibe. We had a girl. We did it. I'm sure that's what I was saying to her. We did it.
Yeah.
Like,
Tiana, tell her we made it.
right.
Yeah.
We don't want an Emmy, girl. Her, Gam, Willow wasn't there. Now we was so funny. Shout out to my OGs.
I saw Trey in the pictures.
Trey was there. He was there. It was a dope event. Him, his family. I mean, well, not his family, but other friends.
Oh, okay.
His mom wasn't. But
Was Will there?
Will was not. And that's what I was about to say. All the OGs, like after we got our pictures with Jada, we was like, so is Will home?
Is it gonna be some special surprise?
Look, my girlfriend said once they played Summertime, she was like, I hope Will pop out. I said, girl, it will pop out. But Will did not pop out, and we still vibe to that song. I said I could never hear that song the same again. Once you say you've been at Will Smith's house,
You've been in his house.
I mean,
I
it was a moment.
I gotta say,
It was a moment.
it is real. You know how I am about Black women, so it is dope when somebody who is truly genuine is rewarded for the work they do. And I so while you're, excited and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm in the room, big up to you, because you deserve
I
it.
appreciate that. I mean, and I talked to you about this earlier, like because I'm always cheering someone else on. Not that I wasn't in the moment, but there were parts of me that just could not receive that this was happening. And I mean, I think that goes back to everybody saying, I'm gonna manifest this for my life, when it's truly in front of you. Like, are you really ready for that?
Right.
Like, everybody's not ready for that. You know what I mean? So that's why we tell people prepare and get your passport. She said, I want y'all to fly to Paris.
Then you
Yeah,
gotta go to
Are you
Paris.
ready? Are you really ready for what you manifesting? And I was ready, and I'm so glad and grateful to be a part of that full process.
And the beauty of it is, and I find this in life now, you were ready.
Yeah.
Because, and your friend, your plus one was ready, and big ups to her, because a lot of people just can't do it. Like, and it may not even be financial, but time wise, like, isn't it wonderful that it don't matter what day she said come, you could come without having to ask anybody.
Right. And
without saying, I can't, can we do it another day? No, let me call and check.
The beautiful part about that
Jada
week,
say, come on, all right.
Come on out.
I'm out.
That week, my last day of work was Wednesday. We flew out to CJ the Thursday. I met her Friday. That's probably the best retirement.
That's a great retirement.
And let me tell you, even
it's timing too.
Even if I got the call, right, to come out to Cali, to come out anywhere in the world, and I was invited by someone of that magnitude, I feel good in myself that if I had to get my ticket, I could get it. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
If I had to get my ticket, I could get my ticket anywhere in the world and go see whoever asked me to come out on that kind of level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we gonna be in South Africa, and here goes your thing to get into the thing, and we want you there.
Right.
And that's 19 and a half hours on a plane. Right. And a couple vaccinations, and I'm there.
Right. One thing I will say too, like when you say, and it still like floors me when people say, Jada, like that magnitude or that caliber.
I walk
person.
around with mine.
Bless your heart.
You never know.
Right. This is true.
You never know.
But when you think about that caliber of a person, and I mean, maybe because I've been talking to her the last 3 years, you just recognize, because I've heard her, be happy, sad, unsure about what's next and how things will go. So it just reminds you they go through it just like
everybody.
We do. Yeah. They are regular, like we are capable just like they are. Yes. And the growth is
everything is the same, but there are levels to accessibility to resources. Yes. And that's what it is. Yes. That's the only thing.
Understood.
matter of fact, if you make all things relative,
Mhm,
right,
mhm.
you might be more successful in the market that you are in based on the things that are relative to you,
Mhm.
right? But she just has it in such a way, or they have it as a family in such a way that they have access to more resources because of the work that they did in the market
Yeah.
that they
Oh,
were in,
absolutely.
and the way the dollars translate. But I don't, when I say of that magnitude, I mean that
I know.
only in that aspect
Mhm.
of being able to say, I want to do a movie and the budget is $50 million and I can write the check.
Right.
As
whole
opposed to
different.
saying I want to make a movie and the budget is $5,000 and
Right.
I can write that check.
Right.
That's a
The
different
only
thing.
difference is a few zeros,
Right.
not the quality of the movie or not the
Right.
not the talent.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in that radio. You got a new
Yeah.
listener listening to us. She says, career cheerleader, hey boo. This would
Hey.
be our sister Cooler.
Cooler.
Hey, Cooler.
Hey. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. So I want to go ahead and kind of move a little bit into some current events. We're gonna come back and later on in the show we'll put a bow on the special interview that we're doing with our
Please
sister
don't say
career.
Bo when I'm not wearing mine.
I just even really
know
came
what?
to that realization that you
you know
were
what?
bowless today.
You know what? It's a figure.
I feel
of
like I have no shirt
It's
on.
a figure of
Don't
speech,
do
and
it.
I just you
That would
know,
be a different
I
interview.
feel
that would,
naked.
yeah, that would be
I
different.
feel naked.
It'd be
That would be a
different.
different
It'd be a
interview.
different show.
That's another show. Matter of fact,
The
tomorrow
black
night.
bar.
Yeah.
I need a black bar
Yeah,
on my
you need a black
head.
bar right there.
Big
yeah.
shout out tomorrow night, Pillow Talk with my girl Firestorm.
Okay.
That's that show.
That's what's up. Ain't no
like
half
it.
stepping with Marcus J. Live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. Previous guest Firestorm was dope when we had her. So if you rock with us, rock with her. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to rock with us. We shall roll with you. All right. So Steph, Colonial Heights. Do you want to set it up or you want me to just play the clip?
Play the clip.
Play the
first.
clip. All
Play
right.
that
So
clip.
I'm gonna
Somebody
play.
asked me about Colonial
I'm
Heights.
gonna play this clip.
Richmond?
I'm
Like, no.
gonna play this clip and then we'll talk about it. Hold tight and here we go.
It's time for another riveting episode of playing stupid games and winning stupid prizes. Now, this lovely black queen is Quita Good. She owns a house in Colonial Heights, Virginia, and she has been being harassed by her neighbor. So much so that the police were called to her home to search her for drugs because her neighbor doesn't believe she can afford the house and the Porsche that she owns. Oh yes, honey, the police searched her house and no drugs were found. Well, a couple of days ago, things came to a head.
You are not the right color, honey. No, yes you are. Yes you are. Stop talking to my daughter.
Oh, yes. She said her neighbor is not the right color and called her the N-word. But I don't think good old Hillary here thought things through because she had her work badge on. So Quita posted the video to social media. People came out to the neighborhood to protest, and Hillary's job was quickly identified. And the food bank fired that ass. Oh, Hillary, will you still be able to afford your house?
So
Phew.
first of all, it was ironic that I happened to come across this video on TikTok on the 4th
Shout
of July.
out to TikTok.
Shout out to TikTok exposing them all, right? On the 4th of July, right?
About to cancel
When
my
we're
cable.
supposed
'cause
to
of
be
TikTok.
celebrating independence and whatnot. And what I thought was interesting, I was just curious and I went and looked at historical demographics of Colonial Heights. And often locals will refer to it as colonial whites. And there's a reason, because demographically, the Black population has been small in that area, in that particular area. And where they do live, they are often segregated. And to see that this sister had to deal with, first of all, the cops being called on her and the the charge that she's selling drugs from her home simply because, one, she owns a home there, and two, has a Porsche. Like, these are very antiquated measurements of belonging, right? The black person with a nice car must be doing something illegal. The black person who owns a home. Now, mind you, this is also why things like redlining and it exist. You know, they don't want you in certain places. And it's important that black people still understand this and even do your homework when you are looking for your homes, because these are some of the experiences that you are risking, even in today's market. I mean, Colonial Heights is not far from the city of Richmond, which people would love to promote as diverse, as open-minded, as accessible to all people, and having opportunity for all, you know, a haven for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this sister is literally having to, this was not the first occasion, by the way, that she had been told, you don't belong here. You're the wrong color, is literally what was said to her. And then the N-word. And she's also the fact that the idea that you, because you look a certain way, can call the police on me and I have to be subjected to search of my home is a problem. This woman, you know, if we think about Breonna Taylor, this woman that's dire circumstances. And now you're living in a hostile environment. I would love, if anybody knows her, have her call in, because I would love to have the conversation with her, what her community is doing to comfort her or keep her during this period of time. It's bigger than just, okay, we're going to protest and 15, 20 people are going to show up and protect her home. This woman is living there and sleeping there. And we are not so far removed from a history where homes were burned down while people were in it, or people were chased out from the community. And in modern day America, we have somebody trying to push a woman out of her community, the home that she has purchased, simply because you don't belong here. For me, that very beginning space is that it's important that we highlight these things, because people like to continuously dismiss the fact that racism is alive and well. And it's more than I didn't get a promotion and I think it's because I'm black. It's things like somebody telling you, you don't belong in this neighborhood. You're not the right color.
And call you the N-word, right?
And call you the N-word. And say, yes, you are. Yes, you are, sweetie. That's what you are. I told you. You know.
It's the audacity for me.
It's the audacity.
It's the audacity for me. I mean, it's just, you know, we continue to see the narrative. I was telling you earlier, like, they put things like Judas and the Black Messiah on and give it awards and never talk about correcting the white behavior. Like, she lost her job.
Yeah.
But let's be real, that food bank couldn't have gone too much longer without, I mean, it's either you or us.
Right.
Again, businesses
and
don't
also
care,
she lost her job, but she will be rehired somewhere.
Right.
Number one. Number two, losing your job doesn't mean you're sorry.
Right.
I can be sorry
That's
I
a
lost my
consequence.
job and about the consequence, and not sorry about the things I've
The
done.
action, right.
Which again goes back to, we live in a society where behaviors are justified at macro and micro levels, as long as they are being levied. And I want to say something that I think is very significant. And I've always said this and I'll continue to say it, and I don't care. White women are the water bearers for racism. They run their homes. They raise their children. When you see 15, 16, 17-year-old young white men growing into, you know, people like Matt Gaetz and so on, they were raised by someone in their mother's home who thinks this way. And a lot of times Black women are accosted in this way by white women, but because of the stereotype of who we are and the privilege of who they are, we are often not heard. And so it's important that this young woman, Quita Good, I believe it was, be supported in her community, and that they know they can't just keep doing this to her.
Absolutely. You know, I said this earlier where, you know, as Black people, we've had to look in the eyes of white and Black people and understand the emotions of both.
Yes.
You know, I've watched the Brady Bunch. I've watched Young and the Restless. Victor don't love Nikki. You know what I mean? But does he? But we've had to look at them in a way that they've never had to look at us like until Cosby Show came, or other shows that were politically something they wanted to get into. Rarely have they only had a Black selection of dolls in the grocery store.
Right.
You know? So that goes back to what you were saying as far as like white women having to coddle. You know, they have always been the water bearer or the supporter of the minimalist movement, minimizing us, ignoring us.
Yes.
It was a part of their lifestyle for a long time to look away.
Absolutely.
So they've never had to face us, and I'm not surprised by this, unfortunately. But
yeah,
it is what it is when it comes to that, and I don't mean that in a condescending manner. I mean that in a, we're never going to be
We're not going to
away
change it
from that type of experience. When we had the original den where we used to be, we moved into that space in 2013. And somewhere around 2014, as I'm walking into the space, one of the people that worked for us knows what I do in my full-time job. So he had asked me to take care of something for him that involved his vehicle. So I'm at his vehicle and I'm trying to do what I needed to do with regards to it. And Becky, Karen, whatever the fuck her name was, came over. That's only my first one, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay, I got one more.
You get one more.
I got one more. But I needed to say it. I needed to say it just like that. Came over. Excuse me. What are you doing?
It's the
minding my
entitlement.
business. Minding my.
The
Now
confidence.
you remember where we were, and you remember how the parking was.
Yes.
We're not in the deck. We're on the street.
You're on the street. Yeah.
So
For everybody.
my response was minding my business. Is that your car? I said, I can promise you it's not yours, which means it's not your business.
I love the answers.
Yes.
And there was more to the exchange.
It's the
and
correction for me.
It was more to the exchange,
Note to
but
self.
the point was that the last thing I said to her was, the owner of the car works for me. So if you'd like for me to walk you into my office where you can have a conversation with him, I'd be happy to walk you there. Of course, she walked off. But this is the microaggression that we all have to deal with. Now, that was aggression.
Show me your papers.
That's exactly what it is. It's show me your papers. And on some level, I have no confidence that we will ever be completely out of show me your papers type of environment because of the entitlement. Go ahead.
I just want to add like that when we talk about privilege, it's not just they have access to things. It's literally the privilege to speak up whenever they feel they want to. Whereas we couldn't even celebrate the fall of the Confederacy and had to be quiet for so many years about it. Like shout out to Juneteenth being a holiday and all that. But the privilege extends past what they have access to.
You know what it is, John?
I thoroughly agree with that.
As I transition to you, when you talk about what Cara, when we talk about what Cara just said, that is the epitome of what went down with Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes.
Because he's just jogging through the neighborhood. That's the narrative, but that's what happened. He's jogging through the neighborhood, and these cats was like, "Yo,
you don't belong here.
Show me your papers." And so it's something that, on some level, I'm sure that we've all dealt with. I told my story, but I'm sure the ladies have theirs. I don't know if you have yours, but I would guess that you do.
Well, again, I got some story, but it plays out different because New York is a whole world on its own. But my thing about this, I saw a video that's not this video. I wish I had it. Brother got a house mailbox. Mailbox sit out at the curb. This woman came over to his thing and took his package out of his mailbox. And he went over to her and said, "Why are you taking the package out of the mailbox?" "No, because I've seen too many packages come in here. I've seen too many packages come in here. You get too many deliveries. I'm taking this package." He's like, "No, you're not. That's my package. You can't." "No, it's not. It doesn't belong to you. I'm taking it." Okay. He kind of like took it from her and she fell on the ground and act like she was hurt. I say that to say this thing and that thing I just saw, please, people, be aware. These are not outliers and these are not the exceptions. These are the rules. This is really who this country is. And I'm tired of people trying to fake the funk and act like we really live in a nice, friendly, I don't see color society. No, we don't. This is what the majority of white people feel. And because of Trump, a lot of them feel more open to do it. But for all of those who feel open to do it, it's another one who holds it inside. Right? So really that's what we're dealing with, folks. We live in a racist, white supremacy society, and that's how it's designed, that's how it started, that's how it is. And it ain't no better. If anything, it's worse. My thing is with this lady, and they told her you the wrong color, I'd have put my house on the market. I don't want to be where I'm not wanted and loved. And I don't want to, not saying that she should have to, because she should not have to,
No.
but I would want to. I would sell my house. Let's put it on the market. Somebody buy. I could probably buy 2 in a neighborhood just as nice around some people who would love to see me and my Porsche there. My problem with all of this kind of stuff is, right, everybody of importance within our government, local and national, know about these things. They're well aware of it, and they are complacent. They acquiesce to it going on. They will not speak out against it. They will not enact any laws to change it.
Mhm.
But yet we act like they are friends to us. None of them are. None of them are. None of them can be trusted. None of them are any good to us. And if they do anything that people feel that is in our favor or works good for us, know that it works 10 times better for them. Right? So we got to stop this go along to get along attitude. We got to stop pretending stuff is what it is. Not saying you got to be mean and nasty to nobody, because it's going back to what you were speaking about a little while back. Just because somebody is mean and nasty don't mean you got to be mean and nasty to deal with them.
Right.
Stay in your own space. Let your true nature be your true nature. Don't allow other people's negative attitude to become your attitude. You can't fight in the gutter if you don't get down in the gutter. So don't let nobody drink. I ain't necessarily saying when they go low, we go high. No, if we high, stay high. Don't get down. Don't let them pull you down. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So, how does this like look? I'm doing a lot of talking.
Double
right?
entendre.
And a lot of people might say to me, "You're doing a lot of talking, but how does that work?" Because I gotta have a job. I gotta do this. This is what it looks like. It looks like you as an individual being the best version of yourself you can be, and let the people around you see you be that, so that you can be an example. You do not have to preach or teach. You can show and lead by example. It's the easiest way to do it. And stop running your mouths. Yeah. Stop talking about it.
Say less.
Right? Stop talking. Don't make a video about your new car. Just drive it. Don't make a video when you cash a big check with money in your hand. Just put it to good use.
Yeah, but you know, we live in a society where people like to flaunt, you know.
But that's how you get shut down.
One of my favorite songs, Jay-Z songs, called 30's the New 20. It came out
when
it was on 20, and he said, "I'm old enough to know the right car to buy, yet grown enough not to put rims on it."
Yeah,
right. So you want to say something, Steph?
Yeah, I think that, you know, John makes a good point in regard to how we flex. But I think that as a culture, right, we have always been about the flex, unfortunately, and some of that comes from what we didn't have and now we have it, and how we validate ourselves. And in regard to this young lady, I don't want to get away from. I will say this one thing. I kind of agree. I don't want to live where I'm not wanted, because I want my peace. I want my peace, and I want access to my peace on a regular basis without you thinking you have an opportunity to break it. However, I also think it's important that we understand what the rules and the laws are. Great. You don't like it? There's federal housing laws. She's breaking some kind of law through via intimidation or property ownership. And it doesn't have to be that the city of Colonial Heights supports that, because I would wager that that's a bit of an issue. But if she took that a step further into the federal level and had someone look at it at that level, I believe there's recourse and recompense. My problem with it is she's there now. She's there now. She lives there. So what's the next step?
So I wanted to ask this too before I finish, and you touched on it. I'm not sure. Legal, call in, please.
804-402-2893.
How does the accusation merit a warrant? right? I've never known.
Paralyzation.
Well, we
Unless
don't
you're
we don't need the
selling
legal to
drugs.
answer that
Oh,
question.
right.
Listen, no. I'm lifelong New Yorker, right? And I've never seen, and it's New York is about racist as it get for those who don't know. I've never seen a warrant issued on an accusation. They have to have an investigation and find credible evidence that leads to the idea to get the search warrant, and the search warrant has to be specific. It's called warrant specific. They have to say what they're looking for and where they intend to find it.
It's interesting that you say that when you just said that we have a society. They stick together, man.
Ain't no
Stick together. They stick together. You can't stick together against the law.
We got a call here. Ain't no #7 Marcus J. Before I go to the caller, shout out to my brother. What up, Square? My brother Tyrone Hinton. My man. Good to see you, brother. Need to get you back in New Den, back in your home. We got a call on the live line. Caller, what's your name? What's your comment?
Hey y'all, this is me.
It's
I heard y'all calling for me.
Thank you. Help me out here, sister.
John thinks he has a bat phone.
All right, so let's calibrate. Let's get us calibrated here.
It's my lawyer. That's right.
Hold tight, folks. Let's get us calibrated. Tamika, 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to call in behind our legal here. But we're talking about John's question with regards to this illegal search and seizures, what it sounds like. John, go ahead and ask your question, brother.
No, in that, I don't know how that county works or the Commonwealth, but is an accusation enough to get a warrant signed by a judge?
Illegal search and seizure.
I'm just saying. They came there, knocked on her door, and searched her premise. I'm assuming that they had a warrant.
It depends. It depends on how the warrant came about, because usually when you're at the warrant level, you're going to the magistrate. So either the citizen is going to file a complaint with the magistrate, or the police officer is filing a complaint with the magistrate either before the person is arrested or after the person is arrested. So if somebody is arrested on a warrant, then somebody has gone to the magistrate and they've given them the information beforehand. So just remember, here in Virginia, the threshold is kind of low, right? All the magistrate has to do is find probable cause that something happened, and then the warrant issues.
Okay, so my question to that is, does that probable cause need to be listed ahead of the warrant or on the accusatory document what they say the probable cause is, and does a person have a right to challenge that when presented?
For some crimes, yes, and for some crimes, no. So it's a criminal complaint that they're filling out, right? The criminal complaint is what the citizen or the police officer would fill out. Usually, if it's a police officer, unless it's like a domestic assault or a DUI, you're probably not going to get a criminal complaint in writing. If it's a citizen, then you most likely are going to have a criminal complaint, because the citizen has to put under oath and they have to make it sworn under oath, right? So they usually make the citizen reduce it to writing. So if you get charges pressed against you, the criminal complaint becomes a part of the court file. So the defense attorney has the right to get the criminal complaint so you can see what the allegations are and you have a way to defend yourself.
So this warrant in particular was a warrant to search. They don't need a warrant specific to search in the Commonwealth that states what they're looking for and where they expect to find it and why they expect to find it where they do.
Say it again. It's for a search. I know it's a little muffled. Come again.
In a search warrant in New York, right? What is required is called a warrant specific. And what that says is they have to tell you what they're looking for and where they expect to find it. Now they can they can search the whole premise, but they have to say, we want to find this, and this is where we expect to find it. But ahead of that, they have to say the reason that we want to look in this place is because we eyeball witnessed this type of thing, or we saw this or recorded that, and that leads us to believe, or we have an informant who told us that this item was in this place specifically in this residence. Is that something that's required in Virginia? Because they searched this woman's house.
Yes, when it comes to search warrants, that's a little bit different, right? Everything has to be reduced to writing for a search warrant, and there's some kind of affidavit that's filed, whether it's on a specific form or whether it's just something that's typed up. And it does have to state with specificity. I said it correct tonight.
Yes.
It has to
Warrant
be
specific, yes. Right.
as to the place to be searched, what is to be searched or what is being looked for, and why. What is the probable cause that leads you to believe that these items are in this location?
Right. So this woman sounds like she has maybe some ability for some repercussions, for some reciprocity with regard to this, because her home was searched and nothing was found. I would like to see what got the warrant to get them in the door.
That what got the warrant was the distressed white woman, and you just said that though, like
Yeah, but that in a court of law, there's a document, right? There's an accusatory instrument. There's a document that says why they went in her house.
This is the thing, I
Yeah.
mean, you just said this.
That's what I was about to say,
They get together and they make up all the facts after they get what they want. I mean, we say that because that's what we believe, because that's what it looks like, right? Because when they do come to court, they finally have it all listed out in order, and we saw this and that gave us probable cause, but they really are putting those pieces together after, praying they find something.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's something like this will be difficult for them, and even if they have judges or whatever on their side, at a certain point they would be jeopardizing their careers.
Yeah,
if they followed behind this.
Have they not done it before?
And I think the bigger conversation even is not so much what's legal, but the fact that white people weaponize the judicial system, the police system, law enforcement in general against Black people, and law enforcement is willing and ready to engage with that weaponization. I think that's a more important topic, especially considering that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it's legal or not. They showed up.
Yeah.
Right. They showed up. They held her accountable. They checked her space, and then boom, you now have people like, well, shit, she didn't get arrested.
But you see how we deal. You see how we deal with this, though. How we deal with this is important. Look, just 2 days ago in Massachusetts, right? We had a group of brothers riding.
Hold that.
All right.
Hold that. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. All right, legal, we gonna let you go.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Love you, sis.
Y'all are welcome. I miss y'all.
But this next topic, you may want to call back, so keep listening. Okay.
All right.
All right, you got it. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. All right, so John, I stopped you because I know where you're going, and I want to give this particular story an opportunity to get its full justice, as opposed to an addendum to another story. So where you were going, pick up right there.
All right. So a group of brothers was traveling to Massachusetts on I-95. And they were armed. They had guns. They also
long guns and all.
Assault
weapons.
Yeah, assault weapons. And I think they had some pistols too. But either way, they had their guns. They also had gas, right? Because there's a particular law about transporting weapons, right? Where if you don't stop, or your stop is only by necessity, where you left, if you're legal going through, as long as you don't stop, or if your stop is necessity. So went to the Supreme Court. So this is on the books. They carried their own gas, so it's not to stop at a gas station or do a transaction, anything like that. They pulled over to the side of the road to fill their gas tank to continue their journey to where they was going. Police saw that they had guns, and there was a standoff for about 24 hours because the police approached them and they raised their guns on the police, right?
Moors,
Which
right?
is
Yes.
exactly. So I'm cut from that cloth. I've had those battles. I've had those battles to the point where I've had people in masks dressed in black with zero identification and automatic rifles kick down a door and drag people off without explanation, who we've never heard from again. So it happens. It's real. You know what I mean? I mean, this was in the early 90s.
But you can, you know who you can thank for that in present day? President Barack Hussein Obama, when he signed the National Defense Authorization Act, because now it's on the books that they can do what
But
you
this, but
just
yeah,
said.
but listen,
That's
this
exactly
was even
Yeah.
before then. But guess what though?
That's
There's something in the law.
Love them, but
There-
that
there-
was
listen,
fucked up.
There's
That's my
something.
second one.
Watch this. There's something in the law that says, and I'll get it
That was a
exact.
throwaway.
But
You
it
said it
basically
again.
says this: no law can be passed that lessens a right or law that was passed by the federal government ahead of that. Any law that is passed must enhance the right or the law previous to it, right? So this is what these militia guys stands on, and people don't understand that, right? You cannot, there's nothing you can do that would lessen my right, right? And you cannot make my right and turn it into a privilege. That's what they do with driving. They say driving is a privilege, right? But it's not, right? Because the federal law says you could travel by any means common to the day without being imposed a tax on, right? And the only reason you're supposed to drive with a license and license plates, all that is to commerce when you're transacting, so that's why they use certain legal terms called passenger. Passenger is somebody that pays for a ride. You don't got a passenger, you got a guest, right? So you can go all the way down the rabbit hole with this. But the problem is, going back to the lady, is you have to take it to the place where it is supposed to be applicable, which is the courtroom. And I've been in the courtroom, and here's
can we go back to the Moorish, to the standoff?
Yeah, but I'm saying when you get in the place, because right now they were arrested. And right now, when you go into the court, when you bring the law to the court, this is what the judge will do 9 times out of 10. If you know your law and you speak it, he will ask the stenographer to wipe it and will get up and leave the room unexplained, because he knows that you're right. And if he hears it, he has to act in your favor.
All right, to piggyback on Steph,
It needs to be more clear.
more specific to this particular situation. I don't want to get into the bigger picture, just because we haven't gotten a clarity as to this individual situation fully yet. And so we're gonna quick hit it, because we got a lot more that we need to do in the show tonight. So quick hit it. We're gonna all hit it, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic.
These brothers were operating in what they believe to be their full right and capacity as what's called indigenous nationals. And what that means is you were born here, and that makes you naturalized a citizen. It doesn't make you a U.S. citizen, because that kind of chains you down to certain things. So they believe they were acting in their truest capacity and traveling the way they were with their weaponry, and should not have been accosted.
But in the state, one thing is in the state, and I was following this closely during the week, because there's a related case that I do want to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
One of the concerns, and I'm not going to cape for Leo. I'm not going to cape for law enforcement. They don't need devil's advocate. But one of the concerns is there is nowhere in Massachusetts where several of the weapons they have are considered legal.
But
so even if you're stopping along the way, there's nowhere in this state that would have been considered legal.
But the federal law says it matters where your journey began.
Well, hold on. Let her finish. Let her finish. Let her finish. Go ahead.
Yes.
Finish your point.
Yeah. And then you have a state trooper there. And I guess I have this moment where I'm like, because of the story that I know in Newark, I have this moment where I'm like, at what point are we wrong? Right? At what point? Because it's the same individuals that believe they had a sovereign right to a Black woman's home in Newark, New Jersey. It's the same group. The sovereign.
I know about that too, and I could tell you where they messed up.
The Moorish, where they messed up is taking a Black woman's home. Moorish, no, they did. The Moorish sovereign citizens took the home of a Black woman in New Jersey. She purchased this home. To renovate. She was living in an apartment while it's being renovated. This is just this week. There's a 49-part story on her TikTok about it, documenting. She got what looked like, dummy copy on a copy paper saying, hey, this is our sovereign right in our ancestral land. She went to her home to check because she was getting the gas lines fixed. They had sawed off the locks she put on, put new locks on there, and said, no, this is our ancestral land. SWAT had to come to remove these people from her home. So there becomes this natural boundary of certain laws are created. Those of us who want to live legally and be able to have full access to these laws, if we are firearm owners, which I am, want to have full access to these laws, and then someone else comes along and literally is doing something that, and I don't care if they're black or white, but in this case I care because they're black, and their behavior then becomes something I have to be beholden to, because at the end of the day, whether white people break the laws or not, I'm not going to be judged by what white people do, right? This group of people right now, and I understand that there's a lot of 5%ers and Moorish people, specifically up north and even down here. But this particular group of people are also making true Moorish people look bad in a sense. And when they go and basically reverse colonize a black woman's home, move in, send a letter, say this is our ancestral land, it makes it very hard to look at them as an entity of legality, knowing that you are doing things that are truly illegal and against your own because they're not Moorish. And then for me to be able to justify the fact that you're in a state, first of all, you're in a state like Massachusetts, you already know what you're dealing with, right? Number one. Number two, it's Commonwealth, but it's also a very white state with very, very racist background. It still has bigoted behaviors. They're just getting the first black woman mayor in the city of Boston ever, right? You're going through this place. You're carrying AR-15s, multiple assault rifles. You're black in America. If you want to push the law, go ahead and push the law, right? Go ahead. But don't be shocked when the law pushes back, because we're just not in that positioning right now.
So here's a couple of things with that. First off, right, they were wrong, flat out wrong, right? The premise on what they were doing and what they were trying to do is something that people need to understand. First off, you can't own anything in America, not legally, because everything is purchased.
But let's talk about the here and now, not the ethereal.
It's not. This is not. This is not esoteric, and it's not theory. This is law. It's written, right? It's not supposed. Everything that's purchased in this country is purchased with debt, with a receipt debt. We can't own anything because we're too broke. But once you agree to participate as a nation, once you agree to participate in the system, you become what's called a party to the crime, right? So this is how people interact, and they are subject to the laws because you're a party to the crime, because you participating in the system. They're saying that because they're outside of the system, they're not participating in the system, and because they have certain laws that were on the books forever, and they refuse to take them off, like they refuse to take off the slavery laws, and they refuse to take off these others because they use them when it benefits them, that they're going to use these laws. The only thing that stops them from doing is, like you said, they're black. So, and they don't have the power, because guess what? Eminent domain works the same way. And the state will come in and take your house and tell you to get out and give you nothing for it. Absolutely, and there's nothing you could do about it. And it's the same law that makes eminent domain work is the same law that they were using to try to take this woman's house. They were wrong because, one, they don't have the back office for it. They don't have the power or the money for it. And they're wrong because it's wrong to do, right? We don't even got to go there. That's wrong. That's a big wrong. But I'm telling you, the idea of what was going on in these people's mind when they did this stupid thing, people got to understand what is going on around us. And again, at a certain point, and this is the problem. This is the problem with the internet, and this is the good thing about the internet. And this is something I tell my children. Children, when they were faced with people doing bad things to them and different things or whatever, I always tell them, listen, you don't have to deal with these people. Walk away. Get away from these people. I said, if they impede you leaving and you got to defend yourself, that's something different. But if you can, walk away. And my son would always ask me why. And I say, because let them be comfortable doing that wrong stuff that they do, because they're going to find the wrong person to do it to one day, and they're going to get what's coming to them. This is what happens when people say, oh my God, how could this happen to this person? I don't understand why. I don't know their history. I don't know what they did, but a lot of times that's something swinging back. Not all the time, but a lot of times it's something swinging back. And we about to get to that time where people are on some other stuff. I saw this other video. Cop was called to a house for some reason or whatever, and he's knocking on this man's door, and this woman standing behind him, and he pulled the gun on the man. The man pulled the gun on us. A cop ran down the steps. Right? When people stop accepting things just because somebody told them that's the way it's supposed to be, that's when you get change. When people continue to accept things and acquiesce to things, they're never gonna change.
I don't disagree with you in some ways, but I also think, and then I'm let Cara speak. I also think it's important for us as a people to recognize, to not always co-sign on foolery. I was going to go somewhere else. Co-sign on foolery,
fuckery, yeah.
But simply
We understand
because
Caribbean.
it's simply because it's people who look like us committing it. It's the thing I hold white people accountable for. You want to be my ally? Hold your people accountable for their foolery. And for me, I'm like, this group of people don't represent the change that I want to see and the experience that I want to see for Black people in America. It just, to me, is too far-fetched.
They're idiots.
It didn't need to happen.
They're idiots.
Well, I mean, and just like you said, I feel like earlier you said something about like how we don't like white people, like they're all against it. Like I shy from putting everybody in any one category because that's what we don't want them to do. You look like you're a threat. You look like a thug.
Right.
You look like you could be racist, but there are some people who are fighting for the other side on both sides. There are some people doing some dumb stuff on both sides. You know what I mean? And that's why, kind of to your point, you got to find where you can change the world and stay in that lane. Like,
yes.
I don't necessarily want to go to Massachusetts and tell them how great Red Table Talk is and healing. And I need to go where I know my people. You know what I mean? But that's their
and they
journey,
tried
I
to
guess.
push. They tried to
It's
push.
the wrong state.
They tried to push change in the wrong way. So now what you do is bring heat upon a Black man who's a legal gun holder in that environment and things like that.
Every Black man's a legal gun holder.
While we're trying to make things better, let's not make it worse.
Ain't no half Steppin Marcus J. Live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. What I love the most is that we can have these spirited debates. John knows that I disagree with painting all white folk with the same broad brush. It's kind of the point that Cara was making, but nah, you said enough on the
it's
topic.
Not
we know
I
where
just
you
think the numbers are opposite.
We know where you stand.
But most people think it's only a few white people that hate us. I think it's most of the white people that hate us. There are a few nice ones.
We understand what you
a
mean.
Few.
We understand what you mean. That last piece, I agree with you, but that's not the way you make it seem when you are speaking. You don't make it seem like it's most. I think it's most.
Okay, then we good.
I think it's most, but that ain't how you say it.
That's because that's my energy.
Because
that's emotional. That's emotional.
It's not your energy.
No, I'm saying
it's your words.
I'm saying what you said.
It's
My
the tone.
words.
It's your words.
My words.
It's not the
words.
tone.
It is
it's not
his
the
exact
energy.
We
it's
sit
your
with John
words.
enough. It's
your words.
So this is my words from now on and forever.
You ain't got to change it, man. We heard
White
you.
There are a few nice white people who actually would like to see Black people progress in this world. In here in America, there are a few. But what I'm saying to people is people's view is that of the numbers on the opposite side. People believe in this country, for the most part, that the people that they see with the white supremacy and racism only represents 5 to 10% of the white people in this country. I actually believe it's the opposite.
I don't want to spend any more time on this for the purposes of time, because we've already been through this.
Yeah, we got some good stuff.
We already been through this. We know what you said, and you clean it up now all you want. We know what you said because you said it tonight.
It's on record.
I say it every night.
You said it. So now you walking it back, and I received.
I didn't walk it back. I clarified.
Okay.
We received your clarification.
Translation walked it back.
Exception proves the rule.
Okay.
If it's only 10%, yes, it's all, and I stand by that.
I do not disagree with the fact that, for the most part, they don't care about us because they don't see us. Cara said earlier, and I'm gonna take the last word on this, and then I'm gonna transition. Right? Cara said earlier, when you was talking a little bit about how the perception, the Brady Bunch and the perception, all that kind of stuff. The reality is, it's a lot of them that's cool folks, but it's a lot of them that's not. And I think the issue that we're dealing with is the system, not necessarily the people, but the system. And the people in the system fall in line when they know better, right? So those are the people who get to be a part of the most, as you were speaking. They get to be a part of the most because they know better and they choose not to do better. So when we say most, yeah, you get to be a part of the most because you know what happened to George Floyd. And you know that anybody, whether it's a camera or not, anybody who puts their knee on someone's neck for 9 minutes deserves to go to prison.
Wouldn't do it to a dog.
You wouldn't do it to a dog. But those same white people who talked to me as recently as weeks ago when the verdict came out, and as recently as 2 weeks ago when the sentence was laid down, want to talk to me and other black people and talk about, well, George Floyd had drugs in his system. I don't want to talk about drugs in the system of a man who had a knee on his neck for 9 minutes. Those are the white people you talking about. And I feel you and I agree with you. But there are plenty of those same white folks that standing there next to us saying how fucked up that is. And those are the ones I don't think it's fair that we paint with the same broad brush, because you know what? It's some brothers I need to kick to the curb because all skin folk ain't your kinfolk. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. And this is a perfect transition. I'm good at that, y'all. Perfect transition.
Good job,
when we talk about all skin folk ain't your kinfolk. I ain't rocking with Bill Cosby, y'all. I ain't rocking with Bill Cosby.
Get it?
I ain't rocking with Bill Cosby because for all of the people who want to, put it down or pick it up, do what you want to do. Go last. Whatever. Yeah, let the lady speak, but we'll get it. We're gonna get it in, but we're gonna do. I got 3 topics, each of them getting 10 minutes max. Okay, starting now.
May not even need the 10. We can get.
May not even need the 10, but each of them are getting 10 minutes max, and then we're going to end the show. It's about 17 to 9 now. So y'all with me? You with me? I'm not gonna monologue it. This gonna be quick. Bill Cosby, you got people who want to defend him. And I understand because Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable was a part of all our youth.
He was an awesome
He was an awesome dad. He was the greatest dad. My brother reminds me of that kind of dad because my brother is the one who would take the kids, and the kids love my brother. And just as I was becoming a father, y'all know how I talk about my brother and my father.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My brother was Dr. Huxtable with the minivan and the kids and the little fat kid on the knee, you know. Y'all remember the episode? All that stuff, right?
Peter. That was Peter.
That was Peter, right? But Dr. Huxtable is not Bill Cosby. Y'all need to put them reruns back on and stop acting like that, because Keisha and Theo and Vanessa and all of them
need their money.
They need their money. I don't want to hear about he was trying to buy NBC. I don't want to hear about none of that stuff. I don't want to hear about how they was paying off all these women, because you're not going to get 60 chicks to stand up and say the same lie. Okay, fine. You can't wait to talk, but 60 chicks gonna tell the same lie, especially when we pay attention to why he's out of jail right now.
Yes.
If we pay attention to why he's out of jail right now, then we know how guilty he is. Because when they came to him with the civil suit and they said, hey man, you being subpoenaed, but we're not gonna mess with you in your legal stuff. You got to come in here and tell the truth about what happened. And so he went in there and he told the truth about what happened, which incriminated him. But they made a deal that said they wasn't going to mess with him. So where they messed up,
they wouldn't use any of that.
They wouldn't use none of it. So where they messed up is they charged him criminally. He was convicted and went to jail. He's out right now because of that messed up thing that the attorneys did. It's a legality.
And it was a changeover in the
technicality.
prosecutor.
So he said what he did. And so there it is. And
it's on film. You can go and watch it.
It's a deposition.
It's recorded. It's a recorded deposition.
So Cara, jump in here.
I mean, you know, I tend to get into some issues when I talk about Bill, R. Kelly, any of these topics. And shout out to my RTT fam, because y'all be vocal, okay? Bill has to deal with the Lord himself. Like, I always tend to just go back to the humanistic part of it. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with celebrating someone's accomplishments. as well as acknowledging what was wrong with what they did or how you disagree with it or how it hurt you. But I know if him or anybody else, all these people, if they died today, we'd all be crying or upset or feeling some kind of way. I mean, because it really boils down to the life aspect of it. Some of y'all praying for Ray Ray to get the same technicality, and you know he did the murder. So I'm just saying, like, you can't. I feel like in our culture sometimes we pick and choose what we want to be upset about or who, or especially my Me Too movement. I'm not minimizing anything that any woman has gone through. I know how difficult it is to come forward and say, this is how I feel, this happened to me, and have you not be believed. I definitely understand that, but we were actually talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I just want us women to be more empowered in those situations. Kelly, Bill, I want us to be more empowered as we move forward to not even need to engage with the man in that instance and say no up front. So that's a whole nother mission I'm on in general. Bill, if you're out, shout out to you again. Y'all praying for that same technicality for Ray Ray. I'm just saying. So he's out. I hope he lives out the rest of his life in a successful way. Let that man live what he gonna live. You know what I mean? That's just my personal feeling. It's just hurtful on all sides. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody wants to see our people in any of these situations.
Yeah.
We only want to see them on the pedestals when they get down in the valley. Like, y'all don't know what the valley is. Y'all forget about the cries for help and the prayers to the Lord.
Steph.
Yeah.
We look at Bill, and not we. I'm not saying
Savior,
we as
maybe.
in this room. I'm just saying we as people. We look at Bill, and we're thinking about Dr. Huxtable.
Right.
You know what I
You're
mean?
thinking about
And-
the ideal. I mean, same reason why women in relationships, you grieve over it so bad, and I can't believe it ended. But you're generally looking at what you want it to be true,
the
not
fantasy,
even the real.
the fantasy. I mean, the reality is, Bill Cosby, whether he did it or not, I think that he did some stuff he shouldn't have done. What he did is for him and Camille to worry about.
Right.
But I think he did some stuff that he probably should not have done, because he wouldn't have been exposed the way he is now. Having said that, he now is O.J. Simpson level pariah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think about it this way. We want justice until we don't. Right? We want justice for certain people in certain circumstances, and then we want to look at the same rules and go, but not for him. And then we come and we make these crazy conspiracy theories that even the person can debunk, but everybody in the community will stick with, because it allows them to justify why. It's easier to say he was going to buy NBC than it is for them to say, I don't care if he raped anybody, I want him to get off. It's easier. It's easier. It's more comforting. It allows you to live within your mess, and that's okay if that's who you are. I'm good with that. Just know that you and I can't swim in the same lane. We can't do this together. But and it's bigger than him and Camille, because it's illegal. It's illegal. Once it stepped into lanes of legal and illegal, now it is something that is handled in the courts, and you cannot be mad when you get caught doing something that you admit you did, and you have to pay the time or do the time or pay for the crime. And we have to get to a point of where we're saying, I want for this brother or this sister the same justice that I would want for my family member. And not immediately go to, well, I like him, so therefore it's okay, or I can validate it and I can justify it. And I know within the Black community, that's who we are. That is who we have long been. We will justify the uncle that's at we'll justify the uncle at the cookout and tell all the children where they can go and who they can go near, instead of telling the uncle not to bring his ass to the cookout.
Right.
We have long been that community. We cover for things that we know are wrong. We rooted for OJ, not because we all knew OJ was an abuser. Nobody rooted for OJ because he was an abuser. You rooted because you felt like a Black man won. A Black man who didn't care about any of us.
And still,
I'm not Black, I'm OJ, right? Yeah. So I do think we need, and it goes back to the situation with the Moors. We need to get to a point where we say we're comfortable when those within our communities offend and get righteous justice, whatever that looks like. We need to be comfortable with it, because at some point, if we acknowledge statistics, those offenses are being done within the community against the community.
We gotta own when we deserve to be
gotta
punished.
own it.
John, we gotta own when we deserve
We
to
can't
be
say
punished.
I want to get off like white people. Stop it.
I'm gonna try to make this as quick as I can because I know about the time. First thing I'm gonna say is I don't know what he did or didn't do. I do not know. I don't know if anybody
told you.
Wait,
John.
okay, but
he told you.
See, now here we go. I'm gonna get to that. Give me a minute. We don't know what he did or didn't do. Here's what he said. First of all, he never admitted to crime. He said they asked for the drugs that they were given. That was in the statement. And the only people who can say whether or not they did or not is the person. I do not believe accusations of carrying more weight than denials. He never said that he did it without the knowledge of the women who he did it to. He said they asked for it. They said it was okay. He put it in the drink. They jury picked his statement to make it suit a crime that was good for them. They called in inadmissible witnesses who bared no merit to the case at hand to demean his character. Then aside from that, they opened what was called a sealed document. That was illegal. The reason that he made the testimony was not to say the reason that he made the testimony to begin with was not to save himself, is because the lawyer told him, you have a choice, Mr. Cosby. This woman is willing to accept $100,000 rather to have you prosecuted, or you can fight this in court, and I'm guaranteeing you it's going to cost you at least $1 million. He decided to pay the $100,000, but in order to pay the $100,000, he had to take it out of criminal and make it civil. And once he made it civil, he had to give a statement. And his statement was, yes, I did put something in their drink. They knew that something was in the drink. They asked for the drink, for the drug in the drink. I never did anything wrong. He has never admitted to doing anything wrong, even while convicted in prison. Do I believe in my heart that he has on occasion probably did slip somebody a Mickey and do something? That was the place he grew up in, and I mean the way he came up in the lifestyle that he led. I'm not justifying it. It's dead wrong. It is absolutely dead wrong.
Justifying it on the front end.
No, I'm not justifying. What I'm saying is, and you cannot. Two wrongs don't make a right. No, two wrongs don't make a right. Right? That's the first thing. You cannot tell me you're going to go get justice for somebody by wronging them. That's not how it works. Now, if they had a case, and only 19 of the 60 people making accusations were found to be credible in any kind of way, and the level of credibility was real soft. They bent the level of credibility. So all I'm saying is this. If the man did something like that, he needs to go to jail forever. And I don't care who he is or what he looks like.
That's what people
Full
want to hear.
stop. But what I'm saying is this. You cannot go after somebody and do wrong and call it justice by doing wrong by them, or try to put them under prosecution of the law and breaking the law yourself by doing it. You cannot, we can't. And black people have been subjected to that type of justice forever.
I mean,
and we got to stop it.
You can stop it right there, because that right there is the comment of the entire show. 100% agree with you. You can't come for someone in a bad way just because they did something wrong, or you think they did something wrong. If you come for them in a terrible way, then that is fruit from the poisonous tree.
And you do
and
the victim a disservice.
And you do him a disservice.
But it still doesn't make him right.
But I love how you put it. I love how you put it. And he didn't say he's right. Not to defend you, you can defend yourself, but I think what I'm hearing from you is, hey man, I don't necessarily agree with the assessment of what his guilt is. However, how they came for him was wrong.
That's it.
Which is what I've always said. We say it in different words.
So him getting out of jail, I don't have a problem with it because of the way they put him in jail.
The legal part.
Right.
Cara, take the last word.
I guess that kind of goes.
Take the last word on topic.
No, I think that last word was it, because those technicalities are what keep us in jail and in this sense get us out.
Speaking of technicalities, that Legal Eagle has weighed in. She says, we all know he's out on a technicality. His career and status, in my opinion, is already done. Whether people think some of the women were truthful or not, he admitted guilt in a deposition, and that's that. Whatever the reason for the timing of the prosecution, he's still an admitted abuser. The prosecutor should face ethics charges because they knew better and did it anyway. That's coming from the attorney. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Den.
Quick. He wasn't trying to buy NBC. What this was he got a $400 million deal from Netflix to do positive black programming.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with NBC.
Yeah.
And he got the money anyway, so it don't matter.
I mean, he went into deposition and said I was drugging chicks. That's all. That's
He
it.
with it. He
That's
said
it.
it in there.
And why? Whether they, black folks always want to celebrate their heroes, even in bullshit.
That's not a celebration.
That's where he's trying to buy NBC came
But why
from.
would they say?
okay,
why
there
would
you
they
go.
say that he? Why would they go in a courtroom and say in the deposition and say in the media
We're gonna
that
move on.
he said they didn't know he was drugging? He didn't say that. He said they knew.
We gonna move on. The attorney just said what we've been saying. So we'll leave it there. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. All right. Where I want to go next, we got 2 topics left that we definitely have to get to.
Slimy.
Yeah. One of them is Sha'Carri Richardson. All right. So here's the setup. You got a sister who is the fastest woman in the world. She lost her mother recently. And when she lost her mother, she blazed up, smoked some weed, and recently she got popped for it.
She ate an edible.
She ate edible. Is that what it was?
Yes.
However way she was, she had weed in her system. THC, not necessarily.
That's
weed.
why. That's exactly why they said it the way they did in the press releases, that she had a compound THC. Associated with marijuana because she ate an edible.
She ate an edible. Okay, so she did that, and here's my take on it. Right, and I guess the energy of the show tonight. I've been going first. John, I want you to go next. And then the ladies will close out this one before we go into our final topic. And I'm going to be brief. She said, I'm human. I know what I did. And here is what I'm going to deal with from it. To me, that's the end of the story. We don't need to talk about it no further. She knew what she did. She knew it was wrong. I don't want to talk about none of this. It's not a performance enhancing drug. I don't want to talk about Michael Phelps. I don't want to talk about none of the stuff that we want to talk about in celebrating her, because she already came out knowing that she did wrong. Now, what I will say is the people around her, I want to smack the fire out of every single person that's in her camp, because if you are in her camp and you let her eat an edible, smoke some weed, or do whatever it is that and she know could have got her in trouble. I grew up in the neighborhood, or more specifically, I went to a high school, St. Anthony High School in Jersey City, New Jersey, one of the most famous high schools in this country, because we have produced college All-Americans and NBA players, right? And I grew up with these cats. And I remember being in the neighborhood with them when if somebody wanted to do something they wasn't supposed to be doing, guess what? The OGs in the hood would be the first ones to tell them, nah, young blood, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So where was the OG in her camp? So she's owning it, and I'm glad she's owning it. So to me, once she said in her tweet, I'm human, and then the next day she went on TV and said, yo, I messed up. It is what it is. That to me is when this was no longer a story. John, you up first. Ladies will close us out.
Try to make it quick. Here's the problem. First and foremost, right? They told her she couldn't compete in individual, but she could run the relay.
Still do something for America, please.
Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is Michael Phelps. You said you didn't want to talk about. Guess what? He got caught with a whole lot more and was smoking and everything else.
He didn't get caught. Never tested positive. Got popped because he got shown up in a picture. That's it. Never tested positive.
Did they test him?
Didn't get tested. He didn't test positive.
Did they test him?
Yes,
he did not test positive.
He didn't test positive.
He didn't test positive. He got in trouble because he got shown in a photograph with an L in his hand, and he suffered consequences. This is the part.
But he was still allowed to compete.
This is the but he had sanctions. He got sanctions.
But he was able to compete for his country.
He had sanctions. He got in trouble. He got suspended for 90 days.
And guess what?
Not 30.
But guess what?
But not 30.
But wait a minute.
So why are we talking about Michael Phelps?
Here's why we're talking about Michael Phelps. Because he would have got suspended.
False equivalency.
No, it's not a false
whatever
equivalency.
You're gonna say,
Let me
it's
tell you why.
already a
Let me
false
tell you why.
equivalency.
Because he was going to be suspended for a lot longer. The whole country rallied around him and made sure that he was able to compete when they wanted him to
false
compete.
equivalency.
It's not.
It is.
They could,
you know
they
why it's a
could've-
false equivalency? Because she knew she was wrong. When she got caught, she admitted that she was wrong, and she moved on. We in here talking about it, but she's moved on.
Yeah, but listen,
That's
no,
why it's a false equivalency.
You know why it's not a false equivalency? Because internationally and nationally, it has been determined that the course that they determined weed to be illegal by was formed in an illegal fashion and was formed directly to adversely affect black people. I forgot the name of it. Wait a minute.
She was not supposed to do it. She did it. She owned
that
it.
doesn't matter.
Of course
no,
it matters.
let me tell you why it doesn't matter. Because
Of course it
listen,
matters.
why would she say it's wrong?
Because she knew the rules. Whether you like the rules or not.
No,
You
it's
ain't
not
gotta
about
like
it's
the-
not
you ain't
about
gotta
liking
like
the rules. Listen,
she knew.
If somebody tells
She
you,
knew.
no, Marcus, if somebody tells you, right, that it's illegal to take 3 breaths consecutively, right?
False equivalency.
And you know it's not. The bottom line is this: the law is wrong. They know it's wrong. It was implemented directly to adversely affect black people. They know it's every study has been done. They went over it 1,000 times through Harvard and this and that, and they go, "Yo, this
None of
is
that
all
matters.
wrong."
None
It
of-
all listen.
none of that matters.
It all matters.
None
Her
of it
character. We're not talking about her character.
None
She
of
has
it matters.
incredible character,
None of
and
it
she
matters.
said that she was wrong, and she admitted to doing wrong because of a
Hard
false.
stop.
No, but you can admit to being wrong to something that ain't wrong.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's get the ladies
like it's
in.
all BS to begin with.
Let's
And
get
the
the
fact
lady-
that she felt so compelled,
Let's get the
she
ladies
felt
in.
so compelled to admit to being wrong. She wasn't wrong.
Yeah, she was
What
wrong.
was
She was
wrong?
wrong.
What
Let's
was
get the-
wrong was the fact that what's wrong is the fact that they implement these type of laws and rules directly to adversely affect black people. And people act like they don't. When all of the documentation has been presented in a world court.
All right, let me stop you right there. Let me honor what you
act like it
let me-
ain't
let-
there.
Let me stop you right there and honor what you're saying, because what you just said is correct. I agree with you on that. Hard stop. Then we come back to her. These are still the rules. She knew them. She broke them. No comment needed.
That's her character, and I
wanna-
applaud it.
I want to bring the ladies in. What y'all got?
You know, I think that we get more upset when the rule or the law that's broken is closer to the 10 Commandments, right? Like these are the same, like the build, and you hate to compare the two, but it's like a wrong was done, something was wronged in some way, and one of these is just we never forgiven you again. Understandable, because I mean the whole bill that's no one, the Me Too, I love y'all, we not comparing, but a wrong is a wrong. And I think it is so brave for her to go ahead and just say, fine, you know what, y'all right, I did it, these are my consequences, because she could have easily avoided it, not talked about it at all. She could have eluded it. She could have been called strong and brave. You know, women don't want to be brave anymore. We don't want to be strong. We don't want to go through things to come out on top. And I mean, I'm glad she can still participate in the other one. We wish that it didn't count because, of course, she's in a state that was legal. What?
Because her suspension is a 30-day suspension.
So
and
it ends just in
ends on
time.
July 31st, and the relay is August 6th.
Okay,
It would
thank
be
you for
wrong-
clearing that
it-
up.
It would be wrong
Yeah.
if they came back and said you can't do the relay
Yes,
either.
now
then I'd be
that's-
popping off.
now that's
because
a
I'm
whole
like,
nother.
That's after the 30
right.
days.
And you know, let's just be honest. I
It's after the
mean,
30 days.
it is something small. Let's be honest about what they could have done to her. They could have banned you from the whole thing. So I mean, I'm excited for where it's going.
Yeah.
I'm excited for her future.
I think there's so much to dissect there. And I'll say this. We want our youth to be accountable, or we don't. We want them to be accountable. And part of being an adult and growing into maturity is acknowledging when you need to do a self-assessment, right? And if you truly want to be successful at anything, it does require self-assessment. I can disagree with the law and it still be wrong. The USOC has had these kinds of rules and laws for so long. I remember all through the 80s, every time I turned around, a German or a Russian was being suspended for something.
Right.
And it typically was too much testosterone, this, that, and the other.
Right.
I give this young woman, as a product of Generation Z, who I'm a big fan of because they have no F's to give, I give her a lot of credit for being an example of personal accountability, because the only way sometimes to progress has nothing to do with the repercussions that you level at me. It has everything to do with how I assess myself, rebounds, and reset. And I think she gave herself an opportunity to do so outside of what any of us think by saying, you know what? I was wrong. There was a clear stated rule as an athlete. These are things I'm not supposed to have within my body. I have it in there. It's considered a foreign substance, whether it's legal in Oregon or not. I'm going to go ahead and take this L because I created it for myself. And I think those are the people in life that end up winning in ways that so many of us will never understand. First of all, to even get to that level, there's an amount of discipline that nobody at this table has.
I can't
Nobody.
run down the street.
This 20-year-old girl has a level of discipline none of us have.
I can barely drink my gallon of water every day.
None of us have it. None of us have it.
I'm with you.
And I'm comfortable saying that, including me. I'm comfortable saying that, right? That's one thing. The second thing is we have been watching these young athletes from tennis to track and in other spaces really deal with some mental health issues.
Yeah.
One of the things that was left out is she was told that her exact words, biological mom passed away. She was told that by a reporter in a crowded
The
room.
audacity.
She had not heard that prior to. The fact that this young woman is referring to the person that birthed her as her biological mom is telling you that she's lived through trauma, right? She's lived through trauma. As someone who's a coach, and I work with people on a regular basis, and as a certified coach, I really think, I tell people all the time, I'm not a therapist. I help you move forward. I rarely look back, right? That's why I say always forward. This is a young woman that was looking forward. She was making progress from stages of trauma most of us will never, ever know, experience, or understand. And then performing at this next level. Someone enters her space, breaks her peace by giving her information they did not need to share. We need to talk about how we deal with people and the ownership of people and how we believe we have access and opportunity to speak at them simply because they're in a position of having worked hard for something. Naomi Osaka, you get to, basketball players just dribble the ball, right? This young woman was confronted with traumatic information and didn't have the resources to know how to manage because she's a kid. She's a kid. So through all of that, she still came back to the table and said, you know what? I get it. I understand the rules. I'm also going to be back. And I want people to understand this. Prior to all of that, I could click on so many things and go through the comments and hear everything about her lashes, her nails, her wigs, her weave, all the things that are lobbed at Black women on a consistent basis. And a bunch of people had to come, primarily women, come running through there and being like, I don't care what this looks like. This sister was, and I want to also clear something. She didn't run a race with weed in her lungs. We like that joke because it's like, she beat you with weed smoking. She was clean prior to that. She fell and she had a traumatic event. We need to be more conscious of mental health in the Black community. We need to be more conscious of when we're pushing people to excel at abnormal levels, all of the weight that comes with that. And then we need to be able to say when they experience a consequence of a poor decision within that moment, that we're not going to take away she found triumph in getting on the Today Show and saying, hey, this is what it is. She found triumph in that. Let's not steal that from her by saying BS, so on and so forth. No, she's acknowledging that she broke some rules. And I give that sister so much credit because there's not a lot of people at that age that would be able to manage through it all and still look at the camera and say, I'm young, I'll be back.
Right.
She did it. She did it. I got no heat with her, and I'm glad that she did it the way she did it.
Yeah.
I support her. And as we started the show, we were talking about cannabis. I mean, I understand why, after having been told what she was told, that's where she went. She needed to chill.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of people in the world that don't understand why you would want to take an edible or smoke some weed, but they'll pop a Xanax in a heartbeat. So, I mean, you rather do something chemical as opposed to something from the ground. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy and the Radio. All right, so the last thing we're gonna get to, I never. Let me not say never, because saying never is not right. But I typically try to avoid talking about Wendy Williams on the show.
Yeah.
because I'm not a fan of Wendy Williams. I remember watching Wendy coming up in New Jersey and seeing how they ran her ass out of New York, and she ended up in Philadelphia and all this stuff, and then she ended up back in New York. You know, I'm just not a fan of what she does. I know that there are a lot of people who are, and there's no shade for them. I'm saying this as tactfully as possible. I am not a fan of her or what she does,
Right.
you know? And now we'll step outside of trying to be the upstanding, nice person. And I wish Whitney would have smacked the fire out of her when
Oh
she had the
man,
chance.
man,
But then we know
that would
how
have really took
that
it
just
there for me.
that just didn't work out.
Omarosa too.
Yeah.
I wish
yeah,
Omarosa
yeah.
would put some paws
You
on her.
know, and yes, when she fainted on TV, I thought that was the funniest shit I seen on television.
You know
I
what,
laughed
Marcus?
my-
Now that's too far.
ILMOF or A or LMOA. Laugh my ass off. Yes.
LMAO.
Yeah. Especially because I saw the
Boomer.
clip of her falling out after I knew she was okay.
Oh,
So-
so you were comfortable.
So I
You
already
were
knew
like
she was okay by the time I saw it.
the old Archie comic
Your
guffaw
girl, come
when
on,
you
man.
saw it.
You know, so having said all of that, she came for Tabitha Brown. Tabitha Brown, here's a short version. We're gonna go around the room. This is the last topic before we rant and close because we're getting really, really, really close to the end. And appreciate y'all rocking with us because y'all must like us. And y'all still here. We appreciate y'all. Y'all only here because Cara here. For real. y'all only stayed this long because Cara here.
They
Like,
want-
I know what it
they
is.
looking
I
for
know.
some-
I know what
They
it
want
is.
some
I know
successful
what it
dust.
is. It's just what it's because of her. It's because of her.
Sprinkling
Yeah.
it.
So anyway, Tabitha Brown. I didn't. I mean, I saw her face before, but I didn't know her story before this. So I'm green with her. I'm totally green with her. So John and I are going to make our comments, and we're going to close this out with the ladies because I just think it's better suited. Is everything's better when the ladies put their hands in
I love it.
girly dust on it. So yeah, the girly dust.
Sprinkles.
Yeah, the sprinkles. Yeah. So anyway, so Tabitha Brown had been talking about Black Girl Magic. Tabitha Brown had talked about how she wanted to quote retire her husband. She was someone who was an aspiring actress. Took a long time for her to pop. She finally got to where she was going. Now, there's some folks who might know the intimate details better than I do, but I'm giving it to you as a layperson where I know the story because I think this is a better way to tell it. As far as all the intimate details, it speaks more to Wendy's character, the way I'm gonna tell this story. So here you got this sister who worked her tail off to get to where she was, and she got a husband she been with forever, and they made a pact like, look, we're gonna support you doing your craft. But somebody gotta work. So he went to work, and him going to work was a police officer. 15 years, he's a police officer. And they made a plan that he would retire now that she has gotten to a level of success in her career. Wendy got a hold of this information, and she didn't think that it was a legitimate situation because when her situation came up where her husband was retired, he ended up cheating on her and having a baby outside of their marriage and doing some things that, didn't make her very happy. And so she, in turn, put her experience on Tabitha Brown and saying that her retiring her husband wasn't something that was legitimate and how he's not going to be able to express himself as a man any longer since he don't have his job no more, and he inevitably is going to cheat and do a whole bunch of stuff. Did I set that up properly, ladies?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. So apparently Tabitha got a hold of this, and she did a TikTok or a video or Instagram video, wherever she went online, and she was very calm. She was very dignified. She was very, shall we say, professional, and letting Wendy know, look here, girl, I understand that you feel the way you feel, boo, but your existence is not my existence. And so I'm going to pray for you because keep your name out my mouth because I'm giving you this sweet girl stuff. But if it really
Did you
came
just
down
put
to
your
it,
shoulder out?
I would probably snatch No, I'm not gonna say that.
Don't even do it.
I'm not gonna do it. So, John.
I like the shoulder though.
Yeah, because
The
that.
lean
Hey,
in
look,
for
This
me.
is what women do.
you know
when
why? Honestly, I'm gonna tell you something, right, John and sisters. When I watched Tabitha, and see, I watched it. This was a story, and I don't care for Wendy. I don't like Wendy Williams. Sure, she's a nice person outside of the character. Everybody plays a little bit of a character when they're in front of the character, and including yours truly. I'm a hyped up version of me. Okay, it is what it is. Okay, but I don't like her. I just don't, and I think she needs to watch what she say, because at the end of the day, everybody's not going to be Tabitha Brown and Marcus J.
Yeah.
Like Whitney wanted to smack the fire out of her, and I'm pretty confident had she had the opportunity, she probably would have. Right? So let's go around the room. Starting with you, John. What do you think about this story, bro?
Wendy is Wendy. First and foremost, she's a product of her environment. And working and doing what she did in the tri-state area, she couldn't be nice. And she found a niche that was going to pay her to be in broadcasting, and she milked that niche as hard as she could. She became it, she personalized it, and she did her best. And I have nothing but admiration for her success. I don't like what she did to do it, and I would never do it myself, but I can't knock her for doing it. There are several white women who do the same thing without any reprisal. Kev never retired. Her husband never retired. He was her muscle. He actually allowed her to go harder than she could. And this is why she was able to get a syndicated television show and get the money she deserved, because he walked in the room and said, I'm going to beat the brakes off you if you don't treat my woman right. So whatever happened in their marriage personally was something else altogether. She came for this woman in the vein of what she do, and this is what she does. The woman didn't like it, and the woman had every right to do exactly what she did. She had every right also to walk up on her in the middle of the street and slap fire out of her, because this is, actions. With actions come consequences. However, I want to lean this back to, we got to be careful, right? Because we can't always, I'm tired of playing by other people's rules. I want to make our own rules, right? Because what we're talking about and how this lady did what she did or said what she said or whatever the case, if you switch it around, like we're able to talk about it and go, because a black woman talking to a black woman, had the black woman talking to a white woman like that, we'd be having a whole nother show, right? We'd be having a whole nother conversation. Our things need to be our things. We need to keep our stuff in our house, right? And we got to stop letting people make money off of us, because all that's happening right now is there's a ton of white people making a ton of money over these two professional, successful black women disagreeing with how something went down. And the bottom line is, Wendy Williams makes money off of hyping BS bullshit and clowning people about their misery. And that's what people pay her to do. The problem is, if y'all don't want that to happen, stop paying people to do it. Let's get rid of Love and Hip Hop and everything that came from it. Let's get rid of all these others. Let's stop paying people to drag people through the mud, and then make people have another way to have to make their money, and then we don't have to deal with this stuff. But if we're going to deal with this, know this too. The woman publicly spoke about what she wanted to do, so she needed to be prepared to be publicly criticized about what she was doing. If you don't want nobody to criticize about, look, they talk bad about Jesus, right? They're supposed to be perfect. So if you don't want nobody to criticize you or come down on you about something you do, then keep your mouth shut and just go ahead and do it. Ain't nobody business what you and your husband doing. Keep your house in your house and stop running your mouth.
Cara, what you think?
I think the problem is, Wendy led off wrong. Hurt people hurt people. The first thing she said was, I don't even know who Tabitha Brown is. That was the first problem right there. If she but do she? Because Wendy, she definitely gives off this air of, I don't really care.
It's a business to know.
It's her business to know, but she led with, I don't really know Tabitha Brown or what she does. So for her to speak on her, everybody who did know Tabitha, which is a black woman who was trying to do one thing, ended up blowing up doing another thing, following the Lord and her vegan experience to get her health together. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally what she was doing, trying to get her health together and calm her panic attacks and anxiety attacks found vegan life, started cooking her little food, and she blew up over it. She wanted to retire her husband, and she had been talking about her story up until the retirement, which was that her husband wanted to coach basketball. That's all he wanted to do is coach the kids. So when she finally was able to do it, even though she responded to Wendy, she responded so kind. You know what I mean? Like, just mind your businesses. I am over here in a relationship built out of love. She got E.T. Eric Thomas. Shout out to E.T. the hip hop preacher. We love Eric Thomas. I do. She got him to come to his retirement celebration. She really just minded her business and moved on with her life. But Wendy, if you want to talk about people in entertainment, Tabitha's not even like in that vein. So it's like, how can you even come at her? Clearly, somebody brought her this story. Was like, you should talk about it. And for her to give an opinion, I mean, I understand. Like, I was a single mom, I still am parenting alone, but there's a way you tell someone this journey may be difficult, but it may also be a blessing versus telling them you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't sleep with this kind of. It's just a way you do certain things, and she didn't really have to address it like that at all.
Steph, what you got?
I like what Cara said, truly about hurt people. And it's I'm not comfortable watching Wendy Williams because I'm not comfortable with a platform entirely where the success is entirely centered on gossiping about other people or tearing other people down. I've never been comfortable with that. I get embarrassed for her, to be very honest. I feel like there are moments where she just way oversteps. And this was one of those moments. And it's like, let that lady have her joy. Whatever they set their home up to look like, ain't got nothing to do with you. And when someone comes out and announces something in a celebratory manner, like they're happy and they're excited, you launch a business or you do something like that. My feeling is if you can't support it, just minimize your comments. Step off. You don't have to say anything. And I felt like, Tabitha, I know everybody's like, oh, we love the Southern Lady Reed. I really feel like Wendy is walking down a path of where someone is going to approach her in a way that she's not really going to be able to handle. And in this moment, the one thing I was sad about was you created an entire segment to act like this black marriage doesn't matter and to diminish it and to take it to something that was so small. And then on top of it, to minimize this woman's success and the fact that these two people chose to walk this path. I may not love the idea that he's 5-0, but the fact that he was willing to do this job for 15 years, which we all know it's hard to get fired when you're a cop. So he picked something stable to make sure that his woman could pursue her dream. I got to be honest, as a woman whose passions and dreams are pushed solo, I would love to have a partner that jumps in there and says, what do you need to do? How do you need to do it? I got you. Because a lot of times people say, I got you, and they don't even know what it takes to get it. So go ahead and let this lady, I'm never gonna poo-poo a black woman getting her joy. And if it came through a brother helping her and her in turn returning the favor and helping him and appreciating him, isn't that what we always say we want black love to look like?
Yes.
It is.
Preach.
Wendy is hurt. That's all.
Wendy is hurt, and she makes her money off of creating controversy where there is no controversy. And I think it was John earlier who said it, and I agree with you. We need to get out of this, and I think this might be a maturity thing, because when we were younger, we did things, and when you're younger, you do things, better, you do better. But I think that I'm at a stage in my life where I don't think there's any use for that kind of entertainment, like the Wendy Williams type of entertainment, the love and basketball and the hip hop wives and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. I sound like somebody who doesn't know what he's talking about, but I know what I'm talking about. I just think that
it's not saying for this son, so you don't know about it.
Yeah, right. I mean, if
it's not Love and Basketball, that was a decent movie.
If you calling him a fish-eyed fool and he's your family and it's in jest, that's one thing, But if you throwing tables and calling her the worst, most terrible things under the guise of entertainment, and we know it's all scripted. Hey, look, man, I'm a fan of professional wrestling, and some of the biggest storylines in professional wrestling, were things that we thought were real, that both of the guys or gals involved were involved in it. They discussed it before it happened, but as a fan, I saw it. I was like, "Oh shit! Did you see what just happened?" So I get that, to use a wrestling term,
When Chrissy stuffed that girl,
to use a
that was
wrestling
real.
term, I know that it was a work. A work means we created it together behind the scenes. I know it was a work, you know. And with Whitney, with Wendy, it's usually a shoot. To use a wrestling term, that shit's real, and her hate is real, and it's not okay. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy and that radio. All right, so we're gonna get to the end of the show, right? And I'm gonna get a couple of moments in Black History in. We're gonna rant and close. We're gonna do some missing children and get the hell out of here. So thank you for those folks who have stayed with us. Starting with 1839 on July 1st was Amistad. That was Amistad.
Give us free.
That was Amistad. 1777, Vermont becomes the first state to abolish slavery. 2016 is when the Baton Rouge police shoot and kill Alton Sterling. 1964, 5 days after the passage of the Civil Rights Act, 9 black boys are beaten by white men for trying to order at a whites-only lunch counter. Last one, 1910. Black boxer Jack Johnson defeats the Great White Hope Jim Jeffries in what is known as the fight of the century. Last one that I'll do is a personal on this week in history. 1991. I told John I would tell this story, so I'm gonna do this very, very quickly. It's a long ass story, and I'm gonna do it very, very quickly. This week in 1991, Boys in the Hood came out, and I went to see Boys in the Hood with probably 15 or 20 of my closest friends. Mixed group, boys and girls, young men, young women. And we all seen Boys in the Hood. Some of us could quote it. We all seen Boys in the Hood. But we were, I've often talked about the STEP program that I was in, the program that I went to every summer for the smart kids, where me and Damon became brothers, right? And you've seen him in this room. Y'all know who
Shout
he is
out to
me.
Damon. Hey, Damon.
Shout out to the pretty boy, right? I saw that. Shout out to the pretty boy. It's 15 to 20 of us. And when we came out of that movie theater, especially after seeing what happened to Ricky, literally, we all walked out shell-shocked in the lobby, hugging on each other, crying, boys and girls, because we just had never seen anything like that before. And it was not only a bad ending,
Still got
but
one brother, though.
Ricky and Doughboy and Trey and Brandy, they were us. Not only were they us, but we were literally the exact same age that they were, 17 in 1991. So that's my story. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy and the radio. At this time of the show, we always make sure we profile missing and/or exploited children. Tonight we got 2. One in Chesterfield, one in Henrico. It's been our pattern lately. June 16th, Amaya Ball went missing from Henrico County. She's a 17-year-old black female. She's 5'2", weighs 100 pounds. Last seen on June 16th, and has a fake septum nose ring. Her clothing was unknown. In the photograph that I'm seeing here, she's got on large hoop earrings and what looks like finger waves. So if you've seen our sister Amaya Ball, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children and their website, missingkids.org, or contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. We're also looking for Tayana McLean. She's missing since June 17th from Chesterfield County. She's a 14-year-old black female. Her hair is blonde. Even though in the photograph that I'm looking at, she appears to have what looks like micro braids. She's got gray eyes. She's 5'9", 120. Last seen on June 17, 2021, wearing a nose ring. If you've seen her, contact Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251. But both of them, if you've seen either of them, please contact National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children. Their website, missingkids.org. Or contact them at 1-800-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. We will look for missing babies as long as I got a microphone in my hand. And you know how Steph Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Hi, Cara.
Hey, Marcus.
Hi, Cara.
Hey.
I enjoyed being with you
I
tonight.
enjoyed y'all, man. Thanks as always, family.
You are so successful.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so successful. And, you know, I gave you flowers earlier. I'm going to give them to you
Yes.
again. Your energy, the way you move, the way you inspire, the way it's not just me speaking grandiose comments about you. People who I may not know intimately or closely have very similar feelings about you, which means you must be doing something right. And so I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I thank you. I love you.
I appreciate
And I'm
that.
so glad to be a part of your circle.
Yes.
Because I know that's a great place to be. And so I wish you luck. I wish you greatness. I wish you success.
Thank you.
And I hope that in the future we can sit down, we can do this some more again, and there'll be the next level of accomplishment that we'll be able to talk about.
Right.
And
Yes.
we can do this again at a later time.
Yes.
Or you can just come and hang out with us because we like being
I'm
around
always
you.
down. I'm always down to come hang
So
out.
this is where you close that out with your rant, your closing, and you can share whatever you like,
Okay.
contacts, or if there's something that's sticking in your craw, this is where you spit that joint out. What you got, sis?
You know, listen, I just want to say thank you, Marcus, as always, for just the love that I receive in the new den. I like that. In the
Yeah,
new den of the
new den.
legacy.
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking of my legacy now, and I know that you planted that initial seed. Like, man, what is my legacy going to be? So, we looking for new end goals and amazing goals, and I appreciate you for just always helping me, or letting me come in and just share what's going on with me. For those who want to follow. Man, listen, you can follow me on Instagram, the career cheerleader. You can follow me on Twitter, the one cheering for you, number one, number four. And of course, Facebook, the career cheerleader. And Red Table Talk RVA is the group. We are over 110,000 strong. And CaraPressley.com is launching at the end of the month. Y'all, it's about to get crazy, y'all. Y'all better get on the book. You can look at my calendar, book me right there on Instagram. And shout out to Convo with Nikki. I will be speaking July 18th at her event, the Build a Business Workshop. If you're thinking about getting a business started, you don't know where to start, come out there. I'm going to give you my 7 tips to create the life you want. And she's going to give you some other amazing things to get your business off the ground. So come on out. And thank you again, Marcus.
You got to appreciate you. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy in that radio. My brother, I tell you, I look across the table and I like one of the coolest things about this show is that you on it because we battle, man. We battle on the show, you know, but then when we turn the mics off, this is my brother right here, man. I love this man because you push me and I'm pulling you. You know what I mean? And that's what brothers do. You know, they battle and they love. They battle and they love, and we do that. And we don't always agree, and that's okay. We don't have to always agree. I think that people who consistently agree with you don't help you grow. And iron is going to sharpen iron, and I appreciate your iron being next to mine, my brother. Close it out with your rant and your closing, man.
Thank you again, Marcus, for the platform. From the first time I was on the show to every time after, it's been nothing but love. I appreciate it. And we don't always agree. I mean, Eminem ain't in my top 20.
He's in my top 7 to 10.
Yeah, there you go. He's not in my top 20.
Yeah.
So we don't agree. My rant tonight is a little bit personal, and I think it's supposed to be. I just can't continue. I've been feeling this way for a while. I can't continue trying to help people or trying to give information to folks who want to jury pick the information. Like only like the part that you like and only like this. No, if somebody says something about it, they rather 1,000 guilty people go free than one innocent man to go to jail or something like that, right? It's a greater wrong for one innocent man to go to jail than for 1,000 guilty men to go free. And I believe that. And the problem I have with people is everybody, all this talk. Everybody got an opinion about something about this, but nobody wants to deal with what is the root. Everybody wants to deal with the symptoms and the outcomes and what's gonna. But until we deal with this issue at the root of all of this negative stuff that we're dealing with, it's never gonna change. And I'm tired of hearing people run their mouth about it and try to compartmentalize it into different subject matter, into, well, it's about this, well, it's about that, well, what about this, or what about that. The bottom line to this is we are a part of the Holy Roman Empire that came into effect at a certain time, went down and came back up, and we're still under that oppression, and we will remain under that oppression until we realize that we're at war. We're prisoners of war, POWs, right? We're combating captive people, and we have to deal with that. And we got to stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe, right? And stop looking at imagery like it's actuality, right? It's always going to wag the dog, and they're always going to show you something and snatch it back, or just show you a picture of something and tell you got it. Oh, let me show you the picture of this car. This is yours. This is yours. Just believe it's yours. It's yours. No, it's not mine. Let's tell the truth about it, right? And until we really, again, I always say this, and I'm going to just close it again tonight because we run it over. Until we are prepared to sit down and have the real conversations among ourselves and then among our enemy, all of this talk is worthless, because we can't even talk among ourselves to say that, yeah, we have been conquered. We've lost the war. We're prisoners of war. We're captive. And we are playing by rules dictated to us. We're using language given to us, and we're accepting definitions that have been described for us. And until we ready, listen, till you're ready to give the white man back his God, you'll never go nowhere. And that's my rant.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. You know, I enjoy my co-host sitting next to me. It's a level of comfort that I get when I know you right there, because I know you're gonna always say something that is gonna make sense. I know that you're gonna represent yourself and our sisters very well, and I just enjoy your energy. And so when I look across here and I see you there, I'm like, word, I know it's gonna be a dope ass show. So thank you, Steph, for being a part of this team. I'm gonna give you these flowers every single Monday night and any opportunity that I have in between. So thank you. I rocks with you. I appreciate you. Now I want to hear from you. What you got, sis?
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. As always, very lively and spirited, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your perspective. Cara, thank you for coming in, and I look forward to our continuing connection. Before I get into my rant, I do want to say, if you want to hear more from me, I am on ESPN Radio tomorrow, 105.1 on Mike Biz King. I'm going to be actually speaking and having dialogue about some of the things I do as the micro business maven and for the Hustlers Hive. And I'd love to have you guys tune in. That being said, I have more of a rave than a rant tonight. I'm excited, you know. Gen Z is really doing it, you know. And when I say Gen Z, these are people that are, 1998 and younger, right? And so we're looking at people like my daughter, who's 23, or Shakari, who's 20, and I just want to give them their props. We're not going to be here forever. Some of us have more on the, as Marcus says, more on the back end than we do on the front end of this thing. And hopefully we can use it all the right way. But these are young people that are excelling in ways that is not meant for some of us to understand. And so I'm talking about TikTok culture, right? I'm talking about the fact that you probably have someone in your home right now. If you're listening and you're in your 40s or 50s, you may have someone in your home who's in their early 20s. And these young people are literally driving significant amounts of revenue for platforms like TikTok. They are making the Gen Xers who have created these social media platforms wealthy. And if you see that level of ingenuity, creativity, and confidence in your household, you need to tap into it. You need to push your child to take that and move it further. I'm actually launching Trep Academy, which is for young entrepreneurs, to get them ready and to roll and to be as successful in running their micro or small businesses as some of us wish that we had been when we were that age. If I had that insight, I would have definitely taken it. When I look at what they did simply by a boycott, they don't have to sit at lunch counters. That's not the movement. They're in a new wave of civil rights. And some of what they're doing is understanding the power and the magnitude of their presence in a way that Black people have not commandeered and understood in a long time. We may not like how it looks. I get it. We don't love bonnets. We don't love sagging pants. We don't love all these things that make us feel like our respectability politics are being challenged. But what we should understand is that these are young people who are identifying who they are in real time. And the only difference between you and them is Freaknik didn't have cameras. And there was no live and no TikTok to catch you at Black Bike Week in the 90s. And these are young people who are antagonizing systems, corporate systems that many of you have been trying to escape or get away from. Cara and I talk about that. And so I would just like to encourage those out there. If you have someone in your home that you're mentoring, that you're raising, or what have you, and they're in that Generation Z, and you see that level of chest out confidence, don't beat it out of them because it doesn't look like what you're used to. Find a way to nurture it, encourage it, and steer it. And then give them credit for doing some of the things that you wish you could have done but have not done. And be honest about the fact that some of this is you are getting exposure into the lives that they are building that your parents didn't get into yours. And so I just want to say that, we've got a whole legacy of children that are coming up behind us. Some of what they do that you don't like is some of your own creation. But a lot of what they're doing that is likable and worthy is things that are beyond your reach. And you should go ahead and encourage it and tell them to reach for the stars. And that's my rave.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy and Air Radio. I'll close us out with my own rant and my own closing. Yesterday was July 4th, and a lot of folks view it as Independence Day. I viewed it as an opportunity to have a rare moment of petty. Y'all know me, I don't do petty, but I just felt like being petty yesterday. So I posted All Countries Matter. And I wanted to see if I was going to get any takers, and so I got a taker. They gave me an opportunity to say what the rest I wanted to say, because if I didn't get a taker, I wouldn't have said anything, because y'all knew where I was going. Y'all knew exactly where I was going, and I wanted to see if I was going to get somebody. So I got a taker, and with all due respect to the taker, this is somebody who I went to high school with, who I know whose heart is in the right place. But she's a white woman, and so there's some disconnect that comes with that. And I'll say that as respectfully and as tactfully as possible. So when I posted it, she said, "Well, you got to be kidding me." And so my response was, "Well, I figure since all lives matter, then all countries must matter too." And she responded, she figured that's where I was going. But here's where I had an opportunity to really go in like I wanted to, right? I said that I am making a point today. When we and I have said Black Lives Matter in the midst of a very emotional time where someone dies and folks show little to no compassion to me and other folks by saying all lives matter, when we know that all lives matter, it's insensitive to say that in the moment, because the focus is Black lives. It's insensitive to say all lives matter in that moment. Just like it's an asshole move on the 4th of July to say all countries matter. I knew it was going to piss people off when I said it. But I wanted her and anybody else who felt the way when they saw that, remember how you feel. Because that's how we feel all the time. It's Murr. We're short, quick, and sweet. Ain't nothing to do what we in here talking about tonight. It's the end of the show. I want to remind everybody independence is key to building your legacy. I also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares. And the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. Last thing I will say, authenticity has no competition. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus Jack. We will be back here live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio soon. Peace, y'all.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, Legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.